This guy just used up all his good karma to win the lottery, only to find out he was about to kick the bucket, damn it. Damn it. Can't you just let me live? It turns out he really got reincarnated, but as a bald skeleton, through his own efforts, even as a skeleton. Starting as the lowest-ranked summoned monster, Isaac evolved into the Death King, the king of the dead. Over hundreds of years, Isaac resurrected the demon race from the ashes, but not because of some desire for fame. It was due to a contract with the world. You see, if Isaac completed his mission, he would be turned into a human. And today was the day he finished that mission. Leaving his minions in the other world, Isaac went alone to the heavens to meet the gods. So I have completed all your requirements. I hope you haven't forgotten your promise. You are going to turn me back into a human. But life isn't a fairy tale. Instead of keeping their promise to make Isaac human, those despicable gods decided to seal the skeleton head forever inside a bug. A moment later, somewhere else. Ah, my head hurts. It is good that my consciousness has returned. Why did I let those gods trick me? Is it because I'm a hollow skull without a brain? Once he fully regained consciousness, Isaac realized he was in the body of an infant. This is a human body. Did I actually become a human? There's no way those bastards who wanted to tear me apart suddenly felt remorse. Could it be that the seal malfunctioned? Isaac was pondering when a voice rang out. "Oh, the Holy Child!" The maid smiled and said, "The Holy Child has opened his eyes." Holy what now? While Isaac was bewildered, the maid continued, "He was sleeping so peacefully, but he's woken up already." That's right. It would be great if he could keep sleeping. The male servant replied and continued shaking the baby bottle in his hands. Who are these people? Did I really become a human? Can't be helped, I guess. I feel a bit guilty, the maid said, wearing a smile that didn't match her words at all. But this is our job, after all. Our sincerest apologies, Holy Child. We know you only just woke up, but we have to put you back to sleep. Sleep tight, Holy Child. Isaac watched the male servant slowly bringing the highly suspicious baby bottle toward him, thinking to himself, I just died once, am I about to die again? Realizing the situation, Isaac used all his might to refuse the bottle, making the servant anxious. Why won't he eat? Isaac turned his face away, silently thinking, don't even dream of it. I worked so hard to become human, I'm never falling for such an obvious trap. For now, I should find out the reason behind why they turned me into a human. Be a good boy and eat quickly so you can sleep forever. Oops, I mean have a good nap, Lord Isaac. Hearing the name Isaac made him jump. Did he just call me Isaac? Everything started to become clear. Isaac remembered the demons often mispronounced his name as King Isaac. Perhaps that's why that long-haired god, using that disaster-bane item, had engraved the name Isaac, instead of his real name, onto the bug, which prevented him from being sealed and even led to his reincarnation in a body with the same name. Moreover, those gods were so arrogant yet careless, allowing him to escape the seal. Thinking this, Isaac, now a baby, smirked broadly. Unintentionally, he gave the male servant the chance to shove the bottle into his mouth. Isaac immediately used his strength to push the bottle away, while the servant used all his might to keep it from slipping out. Isaac then signaled to the maid next to him, "Give me a hand! Why is this child so strong?" The maid immediately helped the male servant hold the bottle in place, and the liquid inside poured continuously into Isaac's mouth. Is this vegetable juice? It tastes disgusting. Are they trying to murder me with this awful drink? I've only just become human, and a strange feeling is surging powerfully inside my body. At the same time, at the central cathedral of the Helen Holy Empire. By now, that kid should be taken care of. Bishop Masabarit was gloating internally when a majestic voice boomed, "You seem to be in a good mood, Bishop." Masabarit looked up to see Alexander Hakup Hella, the emperor of the Helen Holy Empire, then bowed respectfully. "I greet the son of the Holy Empire." "Bishop, what are you doing here?" Alexander Hakup asked guardedly. "I am here to meet the candidate for the position of Holy Child from the Joshua family. Whenever it concerns the Holy Child, the Church cannot stand on the sidelines," Masabarit replied with a smile. Alexander Hakup looked at him with a meaningful gaze. "I see. Is it because it involves the Holy Child that you came in person? But if, because of the Holy Child candidate for the Church, another incident happens, it would be very bad." "Ha ha! What do you mean by that?" Before Masabarit could finish his sentence, a frantic scream from the Holy Child's room caught everyone's attention. Young Master, he Masabarit, hearing the panic in the maid's voice, smirked, then followed the emperor running toward the Holy Child's room. Holy Child, what happened? The emperor pushed the door open roughly and demanded. The maid replied, "Young master, he's just so adorable." The tense atmosphere instantly shifted to joy. "Look at that round belly, how cute. He's eating so well. Is this the legendary little angel? Look at this." He finished off 15 bottles of that terrible vegetable juice. While everyone was busy chattering, Masabarit gritted his teeth and thought, no way. Is he still alive? How is he completely fine after eating so much? This isn't just regular vegetable juice. Thinking back to a few minutes ago, a strange sensation was surging powerfully through my body. Could I really be dying for nothing again? Wait, it's a deadly poison for priests, as it can destroy their holy power. The effects aren't immediate, but consuming enough of it can be fatal. But this poison is crafted from the demonic energy of the demon race. For me, a former demon king, this is top-tier stuff. I can't believe they'd give me a gift like this. It's so amazing I could die for it. I won't let such a nutritious meal go to waste. And so afterwards, Isaac didn't shy away. He actively grabbed the bottle and gulped it down. He even kicked and screamed for more after finishing it, leaving the two servants bewildered. Is he asking for another serving? I feel like I'm finally starting to understand what he's saying. As long as he keeps eating, we're happy, right? Poison? No, I mean, how could vegetable juice have an immediate effect? The male servant said, then happily grabbed another bottle for Isaac. Fantastic! Absorbing magical energy is the best. Even though I don't know who poisoned it, they are absolutely the best. All right, time to consider the next plan. With that thought, Isaac closed his eyes. I'll leave the conscious world to enter the subconscious and head toward the deepest part, which is the primordial world for creating a mana core. I'll be safe here. Now time to get to work. I'll gather all the mana I've absorbed into a mana core. I need a mana core to use magic, so if I want to cast spells later, this is essential. Suddenly, the mana core in Isaac's hand began to glow, startling him. I thought it was a mana explosion, but no. A mana core usually appears in one of 3 basic colors, but this one is white. No, the issue isn't the color. I haven't even gathered enough mana yet. In such a tiny core, so what is this massive level of energy? It truly far exceeds my expectations. Just how many blessings have been bestowed upon this young, tender body? At this rate, I'll become a monster far stronger than I ever imagined. Survival. A powerful will that has been deeply carved into a soul named survival. A hunger for life, so intense it became the origin of the Demon Bone King and helped him create countless magical techniques and unique skills, and I've inherited all of that legacy within this body. While Isaac was creating his mana core in his subconscious, the 2 servants outside saw him lying motionless with his eyes closed and whispered, "Is he really a goner this time? Let's check." As soon as the female servant finished speaking, Isaac suddenly held up a finger, signaling for another bottle, leaving them speechless. He's still alive after that? Back in the present, Alexander Hackup felt relieved when he learned Isaac was fine. So it was just a false alarm. Right, aside from the near assassination, there was nothing to worry about here, Isaac thought to himself, then tilted his head and accidentally noticed the strange look on Masaberry's face. What's this? What's with that look he's giving me? Is it because I look like I've eaten too much? This isn't good. It'll be trouble if I get suspected. I need to act clueless. Time to put on a naive smile. Saying is doing. Isaac tried to flash the cutest smile he could at Masa Barry, but the result only made his expression darken further. What is wrong with this kid? That much poison should have been enough to make him cough up blood and die, yet he still has enough energy to mock me? A few days ago, at the headquarters of the Cardinal Church, and also the home of the Barry family, Hira Barry poured himself a glass of crimson liquid and spoke up. Whoever becomes the Holy Child will control the entire holy nation. Ridiculous, but the result is that everywhere I go, people are dead set on claiming their own child is the Holy Child. Even those low-ranking servants are doing the same. Behind him, Mesa Barry placed a hand on his chest and said respectfully, "Please be assured, we will definitely take good care of the Holy Child candidates." Hira Barry chuckled. "Yes, of course. But I've heard some unpleasant rumors that there is a Holy Child candidate from the Joshua family, the family known as the Emperor's right-hand man." Hearing Hira Barry's change in tone, Masa Barry broke into a cold sweat and said, "If it's them, we cannot." Before he could finish, Hira Barry threw his glass. The red liquid splashed onto the carpet near his feet as he said, "By the time you get there, that child is supposed to be dead. Your job is to confirm that fact. I'll handle the rest. The holy child must come from the Barry family." Back in the present, Masa Barry saw Isaac drink so much poison yet still lie there smiling. Seeing him so cheerful, he gritted his teeth and thought, didn't they say this kid was definitely a goner? But why is he still alive? Impossible! At the same time, Alexander Hackup walked up to the cradle to observe Isaac and smiled. How interesting. That shiny platinum hair, isn't this the hair color of the founder of the Holy Nation? Am I right, Bishop Masa Barry? He replied in a panic. Your Majesty, you cannot say things like that. Isaac looked at Alexander Hackup in surprise, thinking, this guy is the Emperor? Alexander Hackup looked over at Masa Barry and smiled. Why not? I might even say this boy is closer to God than the current Pope. No wonder he's the final candidate for the position of Holy Child. Hearing that, Isaac was startled and thought, what? I'm actually a Holy Child candidate? Now I get why they kept talking about all this holy stuff. Masa Barry was feeling deeply anxious inside. Things were taking a turn for the worse. The Emperor is starting to show favoritism toward this little brat. I can't let this go on any longer. Thinking this, Masa Barry broke into a smile and stepped forward. Your Majesty, would you allow me to examine this child for a moment? Alexander Hackup asked suspiciously. Oh? And what is the reason for that? Masa Barry explained. This isn't normal, Your Majesty. There's no way a newborn infant could handle all that vegetable juice. Alexander Hackup countered, are you saying a candidate for Holy Son isn't allowed to eat priest's food? Isaac thought to himself, a demon king like me becoming a Holy Son candidate? What a cruel joke. Masa Barry insisted, it's just as a precaution. Please allow me to examine the boy. Alexander Hackup replied, people from the Joshua family will be here soon. Let's wait until then and see. Your Majesty. Masa wanted to persuade him further, but he suddenly stopped because he saw something. Isaac had just burped out a little bit of demonic energy. Isaac realized the trouble he was in and quickly covered his mouth with his hand. That was some unrefined demonic energy, have I been caught? With his heart pounding, Isaac looked at Masa Barry and saw him staring right back. After a few seconds, Masa Barry suddenly smiled and said, Your Majesty, I just felt suspicious energy coming from the child. Oh my, this is highly suspicious, Isaac worriedly thought. Has this bastard figured it out? Masa Barry continued, this child might be a fake candidate possessed by demonic power. We must report this to the heretical inquisitors immediately. Hearing this, Isaac knew for certain that the old man, standing in front of him, had noticed that careless slip-up from earlier. He cursed under his breath, son of a... As for Alexander Hackup, upon hearing Masa Barry's words, he flew into a rage. How dare you? How dare you say that about a precious Holy Son candidate? Masa Barry calmly smiled and said, Your Majesty, please do not get so agitated. The Pope has already declared the child of the Barry family as a Holy Son candidate as well. Alexander Hackup was startled and thought, is he trying to put his own person in the position of Holy Son? He has no respect for anyone, Isaac angrily thought. So that's how it is. He wants to get rid of me for this reason? At that moment, Masa Barry picked Isaac up and continued, someone, go and summon the heretical inquisitors at once. Isaac cursed internally. You bastard! He was panicking, wondering what to do when he heard Alexander Hackup say, wait, the Joshua family is one of the loyal allies of the imperial throne. Therefore, as Emperor, I strictly command you to reconsider your assessment of this child. After that, Masa Barry replied, I understand, Your Majesty. The Pope had stated that the ceremony to crown the crown prince would only take place after the Holy Son had been chosen. Hearing this, Alexander Hackup's expression changed dramatically as he thought, if we don't support the child chosen by the Pope for the position of Holy Son, are they planning to stall the crown prince's coronation ceremony? Isaac noticed Alexander Hackup's expression and thought anxiously, these cheap bastards, this is bad. Masa also noticed, so he smiled with immense confidence. If Your Majesty does not wish to hand him over to the Holy See to handle, we can confirm it right now using my exorcism ritual. If this child is normal, he will be safe, but if he is a demon, he will die. The moment Masa Barry said the last word, Isaac took his baby bottle and smashed it into his face, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Isaac watched one of his teeth fly out and thought smugly, eat that, you jerk, quit your yapping. After all, I'm just an innocent, naive little baby. At the same time, he put on an adorable smile to match. Masabari, however, did not find it cute in the slightest. He thought in agony, what was that? That bottle and that strike just now? The onlookers exclaimed, that child must be the Holy Sun! Masabari stared intently at Isaac, feeling deep down that he could truly sense holy power inside his body, but that strength just now was... While he was pondering, Isaac gave him a few more whacks. As he hit him, Isaac happily thought, that's for messing with this king. Taking a few more hits, Masabari had a realization, is this demonic power? The others noticed it too, especially Alexander Hackcup. On his face now was a look of pure joy, watching the golden light emitting from every blow that Isaac landed. Isaac kept on swinging, thinking, I'll enchant the bottle to make it even sturdier, and I just have to keep playing the part of an adorable, harmless baby and I'm done. Very quickly, the crowd saw Masabari drop to one knee and cried out, the bishop has been purified by holy power. Isaac looked at Masabari with smug satisfaction and thought, well, did you finally notice the golden light on the bottle? Wait, what's this? Even though it's very weak, every time I use demonic power, a small amount of holy power appears. These two things are opposites, but they've clashed, so they can't be used together, right? If that's the case, this must have something to do with that white magic core. While deep in thought, Isaac suddenly realized Masabari had snatched the bottle from his hand and tossed it aside. He glared at Isaac, then turned to Alexander. Hackcup, I swear to the heavens, this brat is a heretic. We must perform the exorcism ritual immediately. Isaac sighed, thinking, what a complete and total bastard. Taking advantage of the fact that he was still rambling and not paying attention to him, Isaac slipped his hand into the old man's chest pocket. I'm only doing this because I'm forced to, not because I want to. But don't you have a very interesting toy right here? An item used to seal the corpse of a high-level demon. This relic uses a specific trait of the demon race, absorbing demonic energy by consuming the remains of their own kind. I had been hiding this thing very carefully to avoid being hunted by the demons, he whispered to himself. Isaac then managed to pull an arm radiating demonic energy right out from Masabari's chest. Wrapped tightly in a layer of cloth and bound with a cross-shaped rope, Masabari was terrified at the sight. But how could a newborn baby possibly know about this? Just as this thought crossed his mind, something even more terrifying happened. Isaac tossed the totem onto the floor, snapped his fingers, and whispered to himself, try to stay safe, you scumbag, since you were so persistent in targeting me. I think I'll return the favor by opening your eyes a little. Go ahead, try and defeat this thing, you snake. At Isaac's snap, the totem seemed to come alive, and the bandages began to unravel. A massive burst of demonic energy erupted from the arm. Everyone in the room sensed the overwhelming power and stared at it with wariness, with some exclaiming uncertainly, a demon. Alexander, while keeping a wary eye on the newly appeared demon, turned to Masa and roared, how could a demonic soul appear here? Bishop Masabari, what is the meaning of this? Daring to harbor a demon in your possession. Have you lost your mind? Mesa retorted, don't you see, sir? The totem was pulled out by this very child. Alexander pointed his finger at him and questioned, a totem is an item used to seal a dead demon. How could a dead demon come back to life, huh? I then ordered the holy knights, men, protect the saint's son from the demonic soul and the bishop. Yes, sir, the holy knights shouted, immediately drawing their swords and charging toward the demon. One of them lunged at Masa and snatched Isaac from his arms. Masa stood there stunned, trembling as he asked, why? Isaac, nestled in the holy knight's arms, looked smugly at Masa and whispered to himself, serves you right. He was calculating just how strong the bishop was by watching him fight the demonic soul. But when he looked at the demon, he realized it was staring right back at him, screaming, the saint's son! Destroy the saint's son! A giant question mark appeared in Isaac's head, and he whispered, what? The answer was immediately clear. The demon's target was Isaac. Destroy the saint's son! The demon shrieked again, charging straight toward him. The holy knights. Seeing this, they rushed to the front line and shouted, protect the young master! Isaac thought, confused, what's wrong with this demon? I'm the one who brought it back to life, so why is it targeting me? Isaac didn't really care, though. Whatever, with the holy knights protecting me, I'm safe enough. No sooner had that thought crossed his mind than he saw a holy knight sent flying backward by the demon. Isaac immediately cast a suspicious gaze at the knight slumped on the ground, thinking to himself, are these guys really holy knights? Meanwhile, the demon had already knocked aside the other knights blocking its path and swung its claws toward Isaac, howling, "Destroy the saint's son! Rescue the demon king, the holy knight holding!" Isaac saw the demon getting closer and closer and trembled with fear, clutching Isaac even tighter. Isaac, however, remained calm, thinking to himself, "Oh boy, looks like I have to handle this myself. Why are there so many people wanting me dead in this life?" Isaac then lifted his tiny face, looking indifferently at the claws just inches away, and whispered, "I set you free, and this is how you repay me? By trying to take me on? You insolent little demon," he scolded under his breath. A thread of demonic energy flickered in Isaac's eyes as he glared at the spirit, and the demon's movements stopped instantly. Because in its worldview, what stood before it was no longer a newborn saint's son, but a majestic demon-bone king, looking down upon it like a lowly ant. A second later, a brilliant golden holy light suddenly burst from Isaac, illuminating the entire room, especially the demon, which was practically engulfed by it. The demon shrieked in terror. While everyone was still too stunned staring at Isaac to notice, it scrambled out the door as fast as the wind. A holy knight saw this and yelled, "The demon! The demon is trying to escape!" But no one reacted. Their eyes were fixed only on Isaac, who was radiating golden holy light. That holy power, that's definitely holy power, right? Lord Isaac defeated a high-level demon, truly extraordinary. At his age, he is worthy of being our young master. Isaac, looking at his hands as they emitted strands of golden light, pondered, "What is this? Is this really holy power? What the hell is going on? My mana is completely drained. This is unbelievable. This strange body. Is it converting my mana into holy power? Wait, if that's the case, how am I supposed to collect mana? Mana is already scarce enough in this holy kingdom." At the same time, Masa had been restrained by the holy knights. Even so, he struggled and screamed, "Let me go, you fools! That brat is a heretic! Using the mana of the demon race. How dare those demons step into the holy kingdom? Your Majesty, please let me prove it. I will use an exorcism spell so everyone can see his true colors." Alexander roared, "Enough, Bishop! You dare to slander an innocent candidate for the saint's son as a heretic and even release a high-level demon right in front of the saints? Knight, even if you are one of the Pope's men, don't think I'll let this slide easily." Hearing this, Masa's face turned ash-gray. He knew exactly how miserable his fate would be. The seed of doubt had been sown, and sooner or later, the spies planted here would be caught too. If that happens, it'll be a massive blow to the Pope's influence. I have to find a way to save my family, even if it costs me my life. If that's the case, I at least have to take out this candidate for saint. With that thought, Masa gritted his teeth and silently drew a magic circle behind his back as the formation was completed. A lion-like beast was summoned and charged toward Isaac. So the bastard finally showed his true colors? Does he really think he can take me down with such a pathetic attack? Just as Isaac was about to use his magic to deal with the beast, he remembered that he had completely run out of mana earlier. Seeing the beast closing in, Isaac suddenly noticed a magical attack flying from the doorway toward the beast, taking it down in an instant. A young man walked into the room, followed by a few others, and spoke up. "Who dares to lay a hand on a child of the Joshua family?" The newcomer was the seventh son of the Joshua family, Riley Joshua. The holy knights in the room gasped upon seeing Riley. "It's the Blue Saint! The Joshua Knights are here!" At that moment, Riley pointed at Mesa, who was kneeling on the ground, and ordered, "Arrest this bishop immediately." "Yes, sir!" The holy knights following Riley shouted and immediately carried out the order. Mesa struggled and shouted, "Let me go, you Joshua hunting dogs! How dare you lay your filthy hands on me!" Isaac rubbed his chin like an old man, deep in thought. "Wait a minute, Joshua? Joshua, I feel like I've heard that name somewhere before." Just as he was trying to remember, Riley spoke again. "Offer your respects immediately." Hearing this, the holy knights following Riley all knelt before Isaac and shouted in unison, "It is an honor to meet you, young master of the Joshua family." Isaac was shocked. He thought to himself, "Look at their discipline. It's even better than the royal knights." Riley walked up to Isaac and said with a smile, "I apologize for my late arrival, Isaac. Although I can't fully make up for the trouble that just happened. But we brought you a small gift." As he spoke, Riley leaned over and gestured toward a holy knight. Isaac looked in the direction the knight was standing. When he saw the knight reach into his chest and pull out something sparkling, he couldn't help but be curious, thinking, "Oh, is it gold? Or a bag of gold?" A second later, the item was presented by the knight in front of Isaac. This is a model of the Bone Demon King being executed. As he said that, the knight pulled out even more models. He showed off more figures and said, and here is one where he's being burned alive, and another where the Saintess is crushing him. With every model pulled out, Isaac's face grew more expressionless. But the people around them had a different perspective. The young master is so adorable, he's just too cute. Look how much he likes it. He's so cute. He's even crying because he likes it so much. Isaac was frozen in shock, worrying about his future, thinking to himself, how am I supposed to survive in a family full of crazy people like this? But wait, Joshua, I remember now. They're the saintesses who tried to defeat me. In his head, Isaac recalled, I am Soth Joshua, the 45th saintess. I am Soth Joshua, the 61st saint. You don't have the right to know my name. Thinking this, Isaac felt his head throb, and he muttered to himself, they're all from the Joshua family. Oh, for heaven's sake. I wasn't just born as a saint candidate. I was born into a saint family too? What kind of terrible crimes did I commit in my past life to deserve this kind of punishment? While he was still lamenting his fate, Masa continued to struggle. Those Joshua bastards are definitely heretics. Where did you even pick that kid up from? I will expose your true colors, you scum. You dare to harbor a monster? Has the Joshua family really rotted to this extent? I will act on behalf of God to cleanse this entire Joshua family. Riley drew his sword and slashed near Masa's neck, creating a small cut that made him shut his mouth, then spoke coldly. Be grateful that it's thanks to the Joshua family's tolerance that you haven't been beheaded yet. Isaac thought to himself, oh, this guy is actually pretty useful. That attack to shut up the bishop's filthy mouth was truly excellent. I wonder if he intends to use this as a pretext to confront the Holy See? Next, he looked at the holy knights surrounding him. Young master, you've suffered such injustice. You only look at the good things and only listen to the good things, okay? Hearing them talk and seeing their attitude toward him, Isaac could only sigh in frustration. What a bunch of idiots. I actually find myself missing the Blue Knights from my own weight. They were truly the strongest men among my former subordinates. It seems like someone out there has a real psychological obsession with the color blue. Just then, Alexander spoke up. I've troubled everyone once again this time. By the way, Master Riley, could I trouble you to inform your family head that our royal family wishes to take over the guardianship of your young master? Riley looked at Alexander and asked, Your Majesty, you must be joking, right? Isaac was surprised and thought to himself, What? The royal family is offering to adopt me? Alexander continued, The whole world is targeting your young master. You know this better than anyone else. I don't deny the strength of the Joshua family. But is that really enough to protect this child? Especially since the Pope seems very displeased with your young master. One of the main reasons is that the child's hair color is very similar to the founder of the Holy Kingdom, maybe even the Bone Demon King himself. The king might be targeting that child too. Isaac thought to himself, No way. I am the Bone Demon King. How could I be targeting myself? After some reflection, Riley spoke up. I sincerely apologize, Your Majesty, but this child carries the blood of the Joshua family, so we will protect and raise him at any cost. Even if we have to face the Pope or the Bone Demon King, the Joshua family is more than capable of taking them on. Furthermore, the previous Saintess Melissa has always longed to see the Bone Demon King again. Alexandra said softly, That's right. Violet continued, Then the Joshua family has even more reason to keep the child, the direct descendant of the Saintess Melissa, to raise him right here in Vline's arms. Upon hearing the name, Melissa, Isaac whispered to himself, Melissa? Is that the final boss I faced before I invaded the world? The most terrifying and insane saintess I ever fought. Not only was I born as a candidate for Holy Son in a holy clan, but I'm actually a direct descendant of Melissa? What kind of twisted fate is this? The story of the saintess was that after being defeated countless times by the Bone Demon King, they decided to create a saintess as the ultimate weapon, a staff forged by the gods to purge evil. The brave blue lion of the hunting army wielded holy light, the greatest brilliance of the Holy Kingdom, the highest rank of a holy knight. With the overwhelming combat power of the saintesses, it was believed the Bone Demon King would soon be defeated. Their attack and defense were nearly on par with the gods. Their vitality was like a cockroach, and they could even self-destruct if necessary. Their radiant beauty only grew stronger with time, and their lifespan was incredibly long. However, the Bone Demon King was truly ruthless. Isaac thought, I never actually killed a saintess. because doing that would just backfire on me. Killing a saintess would return all their holy power to the gods, allowing the gods to create an even stronger version of the saintess. But that last saintess, Melissa, was insanely strong, and now she turns out to be my ancestor. Riley continued with a look of reverence. She lived her whole life just to witness the destruction of the Bone Demon King. The Joshua family is the very place that births saints with a mission, to eradicate everything that dares to oppose the gods. I am certain the Joshua family has the capability to protect this child. Alexander frowned in thought, and suddenly a holy knight spoke up. That's right. Do you know how many saintesses have died at the hands of the Bone Demon King? Isaac felt a pang of injustice. I didn't hurt anyone. The holy knight continued. Some were locked in a maze by the Bone Demon King because he deemed them unworthy, just to have a little fight with her. Isaac muttered to himself, I already let her out. Who knew she was born with no sense of direction? And 5 other saintesses sacrificed themselves due to anger fever, a curse left behind after confronting the Bone Demon King. Isaac thought angrily, good grief, if you're sick, just go see a doctor. Riley saw Isaac's face turning red and chuckled, trying to soothe him. Don't worry, my little baby. We've got everything covered. Even if it's a curse, we will definitely protect you. Isaac was even more annoyed and thought, am I the only one unhappy about this? Then, Riley lifted Isaac up and smiled. The boy arriving in this world is such a huge blessing. His parents only had one small wish, that he grows up not to become a person like that Bone Demon King. Isaac made a constipated face and thought, to my parents whom I've never met, sorry for disappointing you both. Alexander spoke up. Lord Veli, please reconsider. It has been 155 years since the Bone Demon King was sealed. Isaac was shocked, thinking, it's been that long? Does that mean Melissa is dead then? I think she was already 50 back then. Alexandra continued. While the demon race is growing stronger, the Holy Sun is the key to helping the Holy Kingdom regain the upper hand. This child is truly important to our royal family. Moreover, there is currently no saintess presiding over the Joshua family. It has been a year since the saintess gave birth and disappeared along with her husband. Isaac was startled. My mother was a saintess? Riley spoke up. Even if they aren't here anymore, she is still here. The family is still capable enough to protect this child. Isaac clutched his head with both hands, thinking, all right then, I don't think anything else could shock me more. Just the truth that my mother was a saintess is enough. But just as he thought that, he heard Alexander say, isn't Lady Melissa on her way to defeat the Bone Demon King's minions? Riley replied, she will be back soon, because she really wants to meet her descendant. Hearing the name Melissa again, Isaac slumped over, burying his face in his hands, and groaned, oh my God, she must be 200 years old by now. How is she still alive? Alexander said. It seems it will take some time for her to return. The child's state is a bit strange. Is he all right? Riley answered. He's fine. Isaac thought, I'm suffering this much and you call it fine? Is there anything worse than hearing your old enemy is still alive? If that hag Melissa finds me, I'll be burned at the stake for sure. Anyone but her. Why does it have to be Melissa, the one person I least want to face right now? If I want to survive, this is the only way. An idea sparked in Isaac's mind. He reached out with both hands and grabbed Alexander's finger, putting on an adorable smile as if to say, Emperor, please take me with you. Alexander beamed with delight and spoke up, oh, look at this little one. Clearly, he wants to come back to the imperial family with me. Riley interjected, he's just a bit clingy, Your Majesty. Alexander tugged at one of Isaac's arms and said, there is so much the imperial family can provide for this child. Even though the Joshua family has produced many saints, when it comes to childcare, they're still quite lacking. Violet also gripped Isaac's other arm tightly. She pulled him towards her and declared, this child is destined to become an exorcist knight who will destroy demons in the future. The Joshua family is the most suitable place to train such knights. Besides, he's the first holy child to appear in history, so the imperial family wouldn't have any experience either, right? Then, the two of them just kept pulling back and forth, fighting over Isaac. The imperial family is better. No, the family line is right. It felt like his body was about to be torn apart in the middle. Isaac couldn't help but groan in misery. A holy knight saw this and hurriedly cried out, please, calm down! You're hurting the young master! The two stopped when they heard that, but neither was willing to let go of Isaac. Isaac thought to himself, I've already chosen to go with the imperial family, so please let go. I don't want to die just yet. Besides, my life force manifests as light. and it's all gravitating toward the Emperor like this, which means I have a better chance of survival if I go with the Emperor. I can't miss this opportunity. At the same time, the arm Alexander was holding began to glow with a blinding golden light. Alexander smiled and said, "That's a wise choice, holy child." A second later, Isaac was surprised and thought, "What is this?" That night, in a secluded spot, Masa knelt on the ground before a group of hooded figures and cried out, "It's unfair! He clearly used demonic energy. I am certain that child is a descendant of the Demon King." The leader of the hooded figures spoke up. "Is holy power bestowed by the gods something a lowly demon could use?" Through the moonlight, it could be seen that the speaker was none other than Hirai. At the same time, behind Hirai, another hooded figure suddenly drew a sword and approached the kneeling Masa. Terrified, Masa cried out, "I am sure it was demonic energy, my lord. How could someone like me confuse holy power and demonic energy? Hirai!" Hirai spoke. "In the holy sea, we despise the words you just uttered." Cardinal Masa only managed to cry out those 3 words before stopping, as his head had been severed by a single stroke of a sword. Hirai looked indifferently at Masa's headless corpse and continued, "They are blasphemous words against the gods." Behind him, a hooded figure spoke. "I will reorganize a team to complete this mission, Hirai." He replied, "There's no need anymore. The Emperor has already taken the child. At the Imperial Palace, we will have plenty of opportunities to strike. Let's make use of that. This time, make sure the target is eliminated." At night, the group in black cloaks stood waiting for orders from their leader. The leader smirked sinisterly. He said, "Anyway, the Emperor will take the child with him. Since there will be plenty of opportunities in the Imperial territory, we'll plan for it later." Thinking of the saint candidate who was still alive despite their failed attempts, he hissed viciously. "This time, that brat will definitely die." On a beautiful morning, bright sunlight streamed through the window. Right then, Isaac was picking at his ear. Under the clear blue sky, an exquisite carriage was being escorted by a group of people. Inside the carriage, Isaac thought, "I'm heading to the Joshua estate." Upon hearing this news, the leader of the hooded group was quite shocked. The men behind him thought with some anxiety, "Wait, my lord. A few days ago, a brilliant light flashed in the room." Isaac thought in astonishment, what was that light? It was so blinding that even while being held in the Emperor's arms, he had to cover his eyes with his tiny hands and thought, "Why is it so bright?" "Ah, my eyes." The light radiated from Riley, who said, "Yes, your majesty." "Joshua isn't a good place to raise a child, is it?" He placed a hand on his chest and bowed slightly to show his sincerity. "You might think it's just a place filled with the corpses of demons and monocores." Isaac thought, "Is your desire for survival really that bright?" Riley gestured boastfully, and the more he spoke, the more his face seemed to shine like a spotlight in Isaac's eyes. "The most valuable thing in Joshua is, at best, the corpse of the skeleton demon king." Hearing this, little Isaac shivered in shock. In his head, he pictured a skeleton lying in a wooden coffin with its hands crossed over its chest. "What? My body? You're keeping my body?" He reached out his tiny hand and gripped Riley's index finger in resentment. "You should have told me sooner." Riley was continuing to speak but paused when he noticed his nephew's actions. Even so, in the end what? Isaac's other tiny hand clenched into a fist, and he held up his index finger. He babbled something that, to him, meant, "Look at this, uncle." In the Emperor's arms, Isaac smiled like an angel. He held Riley's finger. "Let's go to Joshua." At that moment, his Uncle Riley was as happy as could be. He blushed with emotion and called out his nephew's name. Isaac returned to the present. Green trees, white clouds, and golden sunlight. Lying in a cradle inside the exquisite carriage, Isaac put his hands behind his head. He crossed his legs and looked out at the scenery passing by the carriage window. He thought, even if I was dragged away from the imperial family and sent to the military, if I want to get my body back, I have no other choice. He missed his mana-filled skeletal body and thought to himself, a body where I trained my mana to the level of gods, if I can get that back, level 10 is nothing. Recalling the face of Riley, which shone like the sun of truth and struck his heart at that time, Isaac analyzed, besides, that was the first time I'd ever seen a desire for survival shine that brilliantly. Going to Joshua with my uncle will be very beneficial for my survival. Inside the carriage, of course, Isaac wasn't alone. Beside his cradle was Riley, and sitting opposite them was a commander from the Night Order. He asked, "Why is the Pope's force chasing after young Master Isaac?" Hearing this question, the little boy curiously sat up to listen, thinking, "I'm just as curious why they're in such a mess." Riley looked over at his nosy nephew and explained, "Because we received a prophecy from the gods. They said the saint would become the child of the gods." Isaac was startled to hear this. The commander continued, "Does that mean he will be the next pope?" Riley replied, "That's right. That's why Barry's lot is so obsessed with having a saint." Listening to the two of them talk, Isaac's face darkened. He frowned and cursed under his breath. What kind of twisted development is this? The Pope is the strongest cleric, capable of using 10th-tier holy magic. To the clergy and the holy knights of the Holy Empire, he's basically a king. His power is almost on par with the emperor's. Isaac analyzed the situation. For thousands of years, Barry had been producing the popes, which is why they're losing their minds. The thought of a saint stealing that power away from them. That's why every other clan wants a saint of their own. Suddenly, the carriage stopped, and there was a commotion outside. The two adults inside looked out the window. Riley opened the window, stuck his head out, and asked, "What's going on?" The coachman answered nervously, "Young Master Riley, we've arrived at the principality, but there's a bit of a problem." As he was explaining, the gate guards approached from a distance. They stood with their spears crossed, signaling that passage was forbidden. The leader held up a hand to stop them. "Travelers, apologies, but you cannot enter the principality." Isaac wondered, what is it this time? Riley flew into a rage, opened the carriage door and stepped out, shouting, "Do you dare ignore the Joshua family crest? What kind of pathetic training did you get?" The opponent just grinned, revealing sharp fangs. "Of course you can't get in." The three of them transformed, their fangs and claws emerging. "We're here to wipe out the child who inherited the saint's bloodline." One of the Blue Knights gasped, "Demons!" Even Isaac, watching from the carriage window, was caught off guard and thought, "What the hell is this? I specifically ordered them not to attack human territories. What the hell is the new Demon King doing?" The demon leader laughed loudly and declared, "Listen well, you pathetic humans. Our honorable king has ordered the immediate extermination of all saints and saintesses." Hearing that, Isaac realized his hunch was right. I knew it. The new Demon King had already taken the throne. The demon continued, "In the name of our great skeleton Demon King, Lord Isaac, we will take the saint's life." Isaac muttered in annoyance. "In the name of a monkey? When the hell did I say that, you moron?" The lead demon laughed and threatened, "If you hand over the child, His Majesty, the skeleton Demon King, might just spare your life." No sooner had he finished speaking than a powerful bolt of blue lightning struck the blabbering demon. When the lightning faded, the demon had been reduced to a charred corpse on the grass. The two remaining demons screamed in terror, "That lowly holy knight!" The holy knight gritted his teeth. "Do you dare speak like that to an exorcist of the Joshua family? I don't think you want a quick death anymore." Riley pointed his sword at the two demons blocking the gate. "Listen up." He pulled his sword to his chest and recited the oath, "To protect all the small things in this world." Holding his sword horizontally against his chest with both hands, he pointed the tip toward the sky. It wasn't just Riley. The Blue Knights behind him did the same. They shouted in unison, "The Joshua family will eradicate all evil. We will chase your kind to the ends of hell to wipe you out." Riley offered a sarcastic smile. "Well, I can't believe that evil skeleton king sent his own subordinates to come steal my body." This seemed to provoke the demons. They charged forward immediately. "You pathetic human, how dare you?" One of them lunged forward, shouting, "Slash! For the skeleton Demon King! For the resurrection of His Majesty!" At that moment, the commander of the Blue Knights scooped Isaac up out of the carriage. As soon as he was out, the carriage was blasted to pieces. He sprinted away like a blur. "My apologies, young master." Being carried, Isaac didn't understand what was happening. He wondered, what's going on? Is someone impersonating me? After retreating to a safe distance, he finally stopped. He set Isaac down on the ground. "Please wait here, my lord." He cast a blue protective barrier around him and said, "I'll be back shortly." Isaac was surprised. A protective barrier? He reached out to touch the barrier, thinking even a high-ranking demon couldn't break through this. It's actually quite powerful. He happily analyzed it. Since nothing can get in from the outside, it means nothing can get out from the inside either. Isaac closed his eyes. If that's the case, then his survival instinct triggered a release of magic. He sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and channeled his mana. "Answer my call, you who were created from magic but possess intellect," he whispered to the observer. No sooner had the observer appeared than it flew into its master's arms like an excited puppy. "My master! My creator!" Isaac communicated with it through his mental senses. "Yeah, I know. Long time no see. Quiet down or you'll get snatched." It calmed down. "I thought I would never get to see your glorious face again." Isaac sighed. "I thought I was done for too." Watching the spirit acting like a joyful child, Isaac thought to himself, "It's been such a long time," he whispered. "Even though it's a search spell, it has its own consciousness. I created it because searching for magic and analyzing results manually was just too much of a pain." During their journey, it had developed a personality, but it was still quite naive. It praised him. "Your wickedness is as grand as ever. Congratulations on seizing the body of such an innocent child." Hearing this, Isaac scoffed. "Hey, shut it." The spirit flew around the barrier, wondering, "But master, what did those filthy gods do to you? No matter how evil my master is, I cannot believe they would put you in the body of this filthy brat." Isaac snapped, "That's enough. Scan for enemies." The spirit obeyed. "I'm starting now." As it spoke, its mana began to flood the air. "I will now search within a 100-meter radius." After the scan finished, it looked toward the battlefield between the demons and the Blue Knights and reported, "There are 88 enemies, all of them monsters. Creatures like them could never compare to you, my great master." Isaac was stunned. "Are they insane? Wait, 88? Are they trying to start a war or something?" Thinking about having more guards around, he felt annoyed. It would be a huge pain if the territorial security got any tighter. It would make calling his subordinates even harder. "It's already this cramped, so I've got to finish this before the family starts picking me apart." Crouched inside the barrier, he hardened his resolve. Even if he had to use every bit of his stored mana, he'd have to do this himself. The shadow noticed and wondered about it. Yeah, it was keeping an eye on the battlefield, reporting that there were currently 51 enemies. It seemed a bit surprised, too. The enemy count was dropping fast. Now there are only 31. Isaac was stunned. "What? That's sudden?" The shadow reported that it was down to 13. On the battlefield, the Blue Knights were fighting while keeping their surroundings in check. One of them called out, "Young master, something's coming." Riley immediately ordered the whole unit to form a defensive line. "There aren't many demons left." The shadow said there were only 4. The demons looked up. "They're finally here, brother." One demon felt excited. "Let's do this together. Today, we're taking the saint's head." The newly arrived demon looked like a shadow, whispering, "A saint?" The other demons were getting hyped, but the Skeleton King hadn't finished yet. A purple shadow zipped past them, finishing them off. Seeing the sudden turn of events, the Blue Knights were startled and shocked. The shadow next to Isaac cheerfully said, "No more enemies." But he just frowned, worried. A lich appeared in the middle of this battlefield, its presence making the knights falter in fear. The shadow reported what it saw on the battlefield. "I've detected a lich." The shadow didn't know what had happened to make the lich go berserk. "How dare you lay your filthy hands on my king? Pay for it with your lives." Targeted by the lich, Isaac's face darkened with anxiety. What the hell is wrong with it this time? The lich's eyes were sharp. "My king, my only master. It went mad, and yet you dared to imprison him within the body of this lowly child." The demonic soul erupted with twisted emotions directed at Isaac. "You freed him." It glared at the knights below and cursed, "Don't look at that child with those eyes. You disgusting creatures, or else I'll gouge your eyes out." Below, the Blue Knight commander asked softly, "Riley, young master, what is that demon saying?" The truth is, humans couldn't understand the language of demons because they spoke in a completely different tongue. Inside the barrier, the little shadow chuckled. "Oh my, look at the chaos out there." Isaac was speechless at what was happening. "Looks like that bastard figured out I'm the Demon Bone King. The effort to track me down is commendable, but over there." Orders were shouted for all knights to prepare for battle. The group responded clearly, ready to charge. Seeing this, the lich stared, and Isaac grew even more troubled. "Why do you have to show up so blatantly?" Back inside the sturdy barrier, he waved his arms and shouted in the babbling language of a child that no one but him could understand. "Hey, you lot, don't touch my property. That's my super huge mana core." Seeing his little master shouting up a storm, the commander was startled and worried. You'll attract the demon's attention. Young Master Isaac, please just wait a little longer. I'll handle it! Before he could finish, the lich burst into loud laughter. It looked at Isaac, clutching its face like a blushing maiden, laughing with glee. Master, you recognize me. You, who guided my destiny, have officially acknowledged me. Not understanding what it was saying, only seeing it laugh, the commander felt a bit panicked. Riley, young master, this demon is provoking us. Immediately after, it ignored all the knights and zipped straight toward Isaac. I shall be by your side immediately, my master. Riley had already realized that the lowly creature was targeting Isaac. The lich approached the barrier where Isaac was and kept cursing. You filthy holy knights, how dare you lock him in such an unclean place? Isaac thought happily, oh nice, this guy sees me. How was excited as it approached. No need to just blink and watch his mana core get exercised. More, help me break this barrier first. It joyfully raised its claws. As you wish. It slammed its claws hard into the barrier. At your command. The commander screamed in panic. Young master, stay back. Riley was also panicked. Isaac. Meanwhile, Isaac wore a smug smile as he saw the barrier shatter. He grabbed the lich's hand, mana flaring. He praised it. Good job. Immediately after, he absorbed the mana from its body. Now, stop causing a scene and get some rest. This made the lich panic as it watched its body being sucked into the artifact. The lich screamed, Master! As the lich returned to the artifact, it lamented, Why? Meanwhile, Riley and the commander, who had been rushing over, witnessed the whole scene. Riley was stunned. Could it be? Looking at his nephew, who was grinning without a scratch while holding the artifact, he muttered, Is that a holy art that turns demons into artifacts? The commander was overjoyed. The first defense was a complete success. He's truly extraordinary. The Blue Knights cheered for young Master Isaac. That's a holy art that only those as powerful as a saint or a cardinal could ever use. He couldn't understand the mindset of these clueless humans. Holy art. What? I used magic. Riley stood by silently, crossing his arms to voice his suspicion. That was definitely a holy art for turning demons into artifacts. But how could a holy art that high level be used without me sensing any holy power fluctuations? The commander was still lost in his joy, answering, You know how it is, sir. Only in the most desperate situations can a person's full potential be revealed. Remembering the lich smashing the barrier, he analyzed, that demon was targeting the young master. The demonic soul must have instinctively sensed the danger, which is why it risked everything to eliminate this potential threat. The commander beamed with praise. Isn't our young master amazing? I'm certain of it. I swear the saint child is none other than our young master. This left Riley speechless, watching the commander try to kiss Isaac on the cheek, only to be annoyingly blocked by his nephew. Riley was right to think that. Even the demon race has started to take notice of this child. If the kid isn't actually a holy son, then there must be something else special about him. He bowed his head, feeling weary. But why did it have to be a boy? His face darkened when he remembered the curse. Because of the Bone Demon King's curse, every male in the family, while he was still lost in thought, he heard, the captain said, It is the will of the divine. Holding Isaac in his arms, the man swore, In the name of the captain of the Blue Knights, I will protect Isaac's future, as well as the future of the entire Joshua family. Hearing that, Riley was stunned. Then he suddenly smiled. Right, I'm such a fool. He reached out to hold Isaac. Why should I be afraid of the Bone Demon King's curse? This child will surely bring glory to the Joshua family. Riley lifted his nephew, beaming with a bright smile. Let's go home. Isaac, your uncle is going to teach you so many things. He continued, With these innate talents, you will definitely become an extraordinary holy knight. Being lifted high, Isaac smiled happily, but thought to himself, Yeah, right. I'm not doing what you want. Hurry up and go home so you can give me back my body. But Riley's next sentence made him pause for about 2 seconds. Even if you might not live very long, I will protect you no matter what. Isaac was frozen in surprise. Riley continued talking about his future plans. Your name will surely be known across the entire continent. Isaac panicked and let out a few babbling sounds. To him it meant, hold on a second. I just heard something pretty shocking. But to Riley, he thought the baby was responding to his words. And so the biological uncle grew even more excited. I knew you'd like it. Isaac cursed in despair, not at the excited Riley. When we get back, I'll immediately teach you how to curse that bone demon king to the 8th generation. Hearing that, he thought with a dark expression, who the hell are you yelling at, you bastard? Finally, they arrived at the Joshua estate. It was an incredibly spacious place with massive gardens, magnificent decor, gold-plated sculptures, and huge gazebos. Looking out from the carriage window, Isaac gasped in admiration, but he was also insanely jealous. You bastards in the Joshua family, while my demon kin are being tortured by your lot. You get to live so lavishly? Just how much is all this worth? Remembering the starving demon kids begging for food every day, Isaac wanted to tear up, you damned capitalists, while I was struggling to find food for the little ones. The ghost of the observer spoke up. Master, this place is on an entirely different level compared to our pathetic home. If we just sold a few of these sculptures, that alone would be enough to buy 10 Demon King castles. Isaac shook with anger. I know, you don't have to remind me. While he was looking around, his Uncle Riley picked him up and introduced, this is the Joshua family estate, Isaac. This is the birthplace of all demon hunting and exorcism. He carried his nephew and opened a window on the other side for him to see. Take a look at the lawn. There's a scarecrow that looks like the Bone Demon King, tied to 10 crosses, and some teenagers are training by hitting it. In Isaac's ear, Riley's voice sounded, when you grow up, you'll be just like them. The kids were using sticks to beat the scarecrow and cursing, Die, Bone Demon King! The kids looked quite maniacal, everyone laughing eerily, each strike accompanied by a curse. May the Bone Demon King be torn to shreds, I curse you, you piece of filth. Dismembering you still wouldn't be enough, Bone Demon King. The sound of curses echoed in his ears. Die! Die! In the carriage, Riley laughed happily. Isaac felt a headache coming on. What kind of stuff have you been stuffing into these kids' heads? Is this a cult family or what? Then he reassured himself. It's fine, he planned and smiled. As long as I can infiltrate the Holy Kingdom, burn the Emperor alive, and turn this place into an empire. Isaac, the little ghost giggled. That's just a joke. A great Bone Demon King like you shouldn't take it to heart, how petty. He scolded him silently. Shut your mouth and go scout around. The ghost replied immediately, Yes, master, right after that. Over 10 spots of light appeared scattered all over the estate before Isaac's eyes, which surprised him. His eyes lit up. Amazing. Are those all monocores? Just counting them, there are at least 10. Then the little ghost laughed and replied, This is the first time I've seen so many monocores gathered in one place. Wonder how many demons they've killed to get those. Finally, the carriage stopped. We've arrived, young master. Riley carried little Isaac out of the carriage and ordered the servants. Go and prepare a room immediately. Isaac will be staying with me. The butler welcoming Riley hesitated and said, I am deeply sorry, young Master Riley, but we have received orders to take the young master, Isaac, to the annex building. Hearing that, I was unhappy. The annex building? For what reason? The butler answered nervously. The 5th brother has ordered that young Master Isaac is never to be allowed inside the main building. Isaac was annoyed. What is it now? Violet frowned and gritted his teeth. Did he really want to send Isaac to that deadly cursed place? Isaac frowned as well, thinking, this family is truly messed up. I already knew that. Ever since he saw a newborn baby not even a month old being tossed aside, he knew it was destined to crumble. His 7th uncle grumbled, My brother has truly done something senseless. Isaac agreed internally, Exactly. I could be living comfortably in the main residence. Why on earth do I have to go to the annex? The ghost chuckled. The monocore you need is in that annex, my lord. It was a critical hit, like a dagger to the heart. Riley walked past the butler and headed straight inside, saying, Step aside. I won't let my nephew stay in that god-forsaken place. Isaac was desperate. Damn it, he screamed inside. No, the annex! I want to go to the annex! His 7th uncle was insistent. Come to my room, Isaac. I'll read you the story of the great saintess and how she fought the Skeleton King as a bedtime story. Isaac thought, no way. Isn't that just like performing an exorcism on me? Riley continued, after reading that, I'll teach you the exclusive exorcism method for the Skeleton King. Isaac had no strength left to cry. Are you trying to be the death of me? As they were walking in, someone stepped out to block their path. Making such a big fuss over just picking up a homeless brat? The person spoke. I definitely ordered that child to be sent to the annex. He crossed his arms and spoke aggressively to Riley after their long time apart. Have you really decided to defy your own brother? The one speaking was the 5th son of the Joshua family, Gowl. Joshua? Isaac widened his eyes, looking at the fifth uncle who had just appeared. He looked like a villain. A total thug, Isaac judged. Gowl pointed at Isaac. Put him down. I'll take him to the annex. Riley retorted, Are you kidding me? This child is a descendant of the Joshua family. There's no way we're sending him to the annex, the place we used to exile people in the past. Isaac glared at his blood-related fifth uncle, thinking, that rude jerk must be on the side waiting to deal with my arrival. Seventh Uncle Riley hugged him tighter. Move aside. I still have to tell my nephew the story of how the Skeleton King was purified. Isaac's expression looked incredibly annoyed. I was screaming inside, Hey, put me down! I want to go to the annex for heaven's sake. Gowl stepped forward, poked his cheek, and laughed at Riley. So where did you dig up this little skeleton? Then he cursed, Descendant, my ass. Isaac gritted his teeth in anger. I actually want him to take me to the annex, but what is wrong with this jerk? Is he a priest or a hoodlum? Then he thought, whatever, I'll just get to the annex and absorb my mana core. Riley exposed Gowl, you think. You think I don't know why you want to take my nephew to the annex? You want people to think he's cursed to keep him away from the succession race, right? Hearing the keywords, Isaac was stunned. The succession race? What the hell? Wait, he remembered his plan and inwardly went crazy. Not happening. I still have to protect this family. Then become a saint, and even the Pope. But more importantly, I have to take revenge on those God-forsaken deities. Gowl laughed like a jerk. You want people to think that? I heard there's a demon that escaped from this kid. Maybe he was born cursed. The captain argued, That's not true. Young Master Isaac contributed to destroying that demon. I expressed his view. Being targeted by a demon from the start only proves how important he is. Another knight helped out, that's right. He possesses the holy power of a saint. Gowl didn't care and smirked. I'm moved to tears. How much effort have you all put into covering up this piece of trash? Don't mess with me. If you've called him the next saint, then show me his power. The ghost on the side added fuel to the fire. He wants to see your power, my lord. Go ahead and summon a meteor for him to see. Isaac retorted uncomfortably. Meteor my ass. Gowl turned around. Right, if he's called a saint. He looked toward a withered tree. Then how about over there? Looking at the tree, it had no sign of life. It even felt like it was radiating death energy. Gowl challenged, the symbol of our family. Why don't you tell him to revive that thing the family head loves so much? He pointed at the tree and laughed wickedly. That holy tree died because of the dark mana of the nobles. If he has all the qualifications to be a saint, then at the very least, he should be able to revive that tree, right? He then grinned sinisterly. Of course. Only if he really is the saint you say he is. Gowl looked dangerous. Riley raised his hand to protect his beloved nephew and asked, Have you looked in a mirror lately? Isaac felt scared too, he muttered to himself. Melissa, you were truly a skilled warrior. But why is your descendant like a bandit? Ha inwardly remarked, The eldest son is missing. The fifth son is a delinquent. Just as he was thinking this, his gaze was drawn to something. Isaac's mouth fell open in shock. Huh? That thing? The ghost chuckled. What? What is it? Isaac reached out and grabbed the ghost. What else are you thinking about? Being caught off guard while trying to watch the drama, the ghost startled. Huh? Isaac threw it away and commanded, Go get it all for me right now. The ghost hadn't even realized what happened before being thrown. It panicked. Wait a second. Back where they were, Riley was still arguing with Gowl. A tree that has been dead for 75 years, and you want a child who can't even speak to fix it? A rustling sound echoed. Riley was startled. Gowl turned back and lost his cool. Riley couldn't believe his eyes. What the hell? The sacred tree in front of me isn't a dead, withered husk anymore. It's been restored to full, vibrant life. Seeing it so lush and green, he's overjoyed. It really was revived. Gowl is stunned. Even after using purification and healing magic, it was still withering away to nothing. I can't believe his eyes. What on earth is going on here? Satisfied with the other man's shock, Riley smiles, thinking it's no big deal. He strokes his chin, patting himself on the back. There was a bit of dark mana near the roots, so I just sucked it all up. The shadow spirit returns to his side, lets out a breath, and says wearily, I've absorbed all the mana from there, sir. I'm stuffed! The squad leader stammers, asking, Lord Riley, why does the tree look like that? What did you do? Riley replies, I didn't do anything. The squad leader looks away, thinking, then, could it be? Sitting in his seventh uncle's arms, Isaac sighs. He says words that no one but him and the shadow spirit can understand. It was all mana, such a waste. The shadow spirit asks, "What now? Do you want me to puke it all out?" The squad leader shouts with joy. Then it must have been Lord Isaac's doing. Immediately, the knights start cheering and chanting, which makes him jump. Amidst the enthusiastic roar, only Gowl refuses to believe it. Seeing his plan fall apart, he sputters in denial. "This is insane. No one in this family has ever been able to heal that tree. How could a brat like that possibly pull it off?" He searches for an excuse, convinced someone must have helped him. Meanwhile, the knights are tossing Isaac into the air like a hero, competing to shower him with praise, as expected of the young master. Gowl thinks cunningly. That's right, it must be. First Rylai did the exorcism, and now this purification. Realizing something, he clenches his fist, his whole body trembling as he asks, "You set this up, didn't you?" Rylai doesn't follow. "What do you mean by that?" Gowl snaps, grabbing Rylai by the collar and screaming, "You must have gotten help from the Saintess, and then you made it look like that trashy brat did it, right?" Rylai grabs his hand to pry it off. "What in the world are you talking about?" Gowl seems to have lost all self-control, still screaming, "Cut the pathetic little tricks! How could I have possibly met that missing Saintess?" The knights stop cheering and look over anxiously. Isaac is bored by this chaotic mess, thinking to himself, "Melissa, you really should focus on managing the family, instead of going off to slay demons. Your family is a total disaster." He looks at his fifth uncle's twisted face. Secretly judges him, thinking, "Still, this guy they call my uncle doesn't look like Melissa at all. Actually, if you told me Rylai was Melissa in disguise, I'd believe that more." The shadow spirit chimes in. "What about the second uncle, sir?" A thought pops into Isaac's head. "I think he looks more like that scumbag Pope." Gowl screams, "Don't you dare play dumb with me! Do you think I don't know you brought this brat here to make him the next saint candidate? I never thought you'd use such dirty tactics, especially when the family already has a candidate." Hearing this, Isaac is curious. There's another candidate in the family? And this rude jerk actually wants that guy to win, too. The shadow spirit chuckles. "Looks like you've got some competition, sir. But you don't seem bothered at all, do you?" Isaac grins. "Don't you think it'd be malicious if that scumbag is backing him? Crushing him would be pretty fun, wouldn't it?" The shadow spirit thinks that makes sense. Seventh Uncle Rylai can't take it anymore and demands, "Are we really just going to ignore the boy? I is our nephew, and the first brother's son at that. I has every right to lead this family." Gowl sneers. "Nonsense. The first brother? That coward ran away while the family was in danger. He flares up again, and you dare bring him up? You're only just now telling us about this kid's existence?" Far off, Isaac is indifferent to the reasons for his own neglect. "So that's why I've been treated like trash." The shadow spirit advises, "Sir, you really shouldn't talk about your own life so casually." Gowl smiles wickedly. But the kid is still the Saintess's son, isn't he? He might just be a half-breed we picked up from the streets. But, regardless, she was still a Saintess. The words coming out of Gowl's mouth are infuriating, though we can't be sure he's actually our brother's kid, can we? Right? I guess his face is decent enough since he looks like that woman. He continues to push Rylai's limits. "If it benefits the family, I think we could just sell him off to maintain the bloodline." Hearing this, Rylai doesn't hesitate to punch him square in the face. Gowl stumbles back, shouting, "Are you crazy? Did you just hit me?" Rylai doesn't back down. "Do you think you're getting away with saying such garbage?" The knights go pale while Isaac happily thinks, "That's right. Brothers should definitely exchange some martial arts like that once in a while. Thanks to this, I've learned plenty of useful information." Seeing Rylai single-handedly beat him up, Gowl was stuffing his face when the knights rushed over to stop him, dragging Riley back. My lord, you can't do that," someone shouted. "Stop them now." Isaac thought with cold indifference. "The more chaotic this family gets, the easier it'll be for me to take over." He smirked. Their baby talk is so annoying. This damn family is falling apart before I've even started." The ghost gave a dry chuckle. "Wait, come to think of it, if this family collapses, won't you be screwed too? Is your brain as messed up as your personality?" Isaac snapped. "Shut it!" After a bit of a they finally made it into the luxurious mansion. Isaac was set down on the table, pouting. I wasn't happy at all. He thought, annoyed. This is so irritating. Around the long conference table, the family members were gathered. Whispers broke out. "Another brat? What are we supposed to do with this kid now?" Watching the scene, Isaac inwardly groaned. Not a single person in this twisted family is sane. Nice way to treat the heir, huh? The murmurs continued. Just because we took in and raised that country bumpkin, and she became a saintess, doesn't mean she had to give birth to this useless boy. She isn't worthy of being a saintess. Isaac felt like he was going to lose it. Hey, are you guys out of your minds? That's going way too far. A woman spoke up, and everyone fell silent. She said, Riley, we already decided to keep this child in the annex to avoid any unwanted attention. This was Eli Joshua's second wife, the acting matriarch, Henna Joshua. She demanded, Why did you allow this child to come here? Isaac thought to himself, is she really showing her hostility so openly? She's definitely the one behind those people trying to shove me off to the annex. Gowel, having bandaged his flattened nose, gritted his teeth. The acting matriarch is talking to you. Are you not going to answer, Riley? Isaac thought. She must be the aunt of this pathetic uncle of mine. Seventh Uncle Riley didn't answer the question, asking back instead, Is father not here? Lady Henna replied, He's out of town. You have to admit this whole saint candidate mess is completely insane. Riley sighed. What a shame. He dropped a bombshell. He really should have heard the news that the family's eldest grandson, Isaac, has revived the holy tree. This news caused Henna and Gowel to jump to their feet in shock. Gowel slammed the table in protest. That's just a coincidence. How could a brat like that ever do something like that? Maybe the Joshua family's prayers were finally answered. An elder spoke up. I think so too. Even our household head couldn't find a solution. So how could a mere child like him pull that off? Henna crossed her arms, sitting back down in agreement. I agree. She gave a sinister smile. There wasn't any proof to begin with. The elders chattered among themselves. The matriarch is right. It truly is a blessing that the holy tree has revived. Isaac looked at them with a mocking expression. Look at those idiots. He held his hands out. You want proof, right? A blue light appeared, causing Gowel and Henna to freeze. The elders and Riley were stunned speechless. In front of them, a blue crystal formed as Isaac gestured. The little boy smirked. Well then, take a good look. On elder stammered. That energy. Watching the crystal hover in front of Isaac, the elder gasped. It's the power of the holy tree, Isaac babbled. Surprised yet, you bunch of amateurs? In the luxury room, the elders sat around the table discussing. One of them said, It seems Isaac has managed to purge the mana that was corroding the holy tree. Another elder jumped. What? There was mana on the holy tree, sure, but a newborn baby managed to remove it? The female elder next to him replied, Isn't that the most logical explanation right now? He literally manifested that mana into a physical form right in front of us, didn't he? Another elder pushed up his glasses, looking thoughtful. True, but even if this exorcism method works, it surely isn't simple. One small mistake could have completely killed the holy tree. That's why the family head chose the method of periodic purification instead of direct exorcism. Gowel looked at everyone, terrified and in disbelief. What the hell are they talking about? There's no way a newborn baby could do something like that. Riley strongly agreed with the elders. Isaac must have exorcised the dark mana by instinct. Isaac stood to the side, arms crossed, looking incredibly smug. Exactly. Then everyone heard Riley continue, A baby still on breast milk did something that no one in the Holy See has been able to do for 75 years. Hearing that, Gowel immediately glared at Riley with fury. What the hell is he saying? Gowel slammed his fist onto the table, protesting. Elders, do you seriously believe this nonsense? He screamed in rage. A newborn baby exorcising demons? It can't even talk yet. If outsiders heard this, they'd definitely laugh in our faces. Look at him. Even the fact that he's a true Joshua isn't believable in the slightest. What if the truth is that he actually comes from some nobody family? Isaac propped his chin on his hand, absent-mindedly picking at his ear while indifferently listening to the others' debate. Then, Riley spoke up. In a serious tone, respected elders, please listen to me. This child will undoubtedly become a saint, perhaps even the Pope, Emperor. Then, Isaac arrogantly thought to himself, spot on. Suddenly, a hand grabbed him and hoisted him up into the air. After that, Isaac heard that person say, and above all else, this child will destroy the skeleton demon king. Isaac panicked. What the hell? It was going so well until that last part. As soon as the demon king was mentioned, the elders immediately began whispering, The skeleton demon king? That wretched creature? Hearing this, a woman wore a sinister smile and whispered, "You're digging your own grave, Vilai." Then she looked straight at Vilai and Isaac and said, "If you're so confident, why don't we put him to the test, in the place where the light cannot reach?" She rested her chin on her hands with a dark, cruel smile. "I demand that we open the vault of holy relics. In the northwest of the holy kingdom of Helen, the Black Forest, a place of withered trees and sharp thorns, where the air reeked of death, a monster had just had its throat slashed open. Fresh blood splattered the ground. The man standing before the monster's carcass had his black cloak whipping in the wind, despite the eerie, ghostly mist clinging to him. He sheathed his sword, muttering, "This place is a dump." A bodyguard approached from behind, knelt on one knee, and respectfully greeted him. "Greetings, master." The man didn't turn around, simply asking coldly, "What is it?" The bodyguard hurriedly replied, "Your representative at the family estate has requested to open the vault of holy relics." "Huh?" The man stepped forward, his voice impatient. "I already made it clear that no one in the Holy Order is allowed to use that place." The bodyguard hastily reported, "It isn't a request from the Holy Order, sir. Your grandson has successfully revived the holy tree, so the acting matriarch wants to see if the child possesses the qualities of a saint." The man suddenly turned his head and stepped toward the bodyguard. "What do you mean?" The man frowned, clenching his fist as he glared down at the guard. "Why is there a saint in my family?" This man was the head of the Joshua family, Eli Joshua. He looked at the guard and warned, "I will not allow it. Only a saintess can survive going in there. Tell them to avoid any unnecessary conflict. There are no exceptions. Tell them to carry it out." Suddenly, a person with long white hair, dressed in noble attire, approached from the side and said with an intrigued look, "Did you just say his name is Isaac?" That woman was the matriarch of the Joshua family, the former saintess Melissa Joshua. She smiled and muttered, "Reviving the holy tree, huh? Isn't that impressive? Since the vault has already been opened, why don't we send all the candidates for saint and saintess in there as well?" Upon hearing this, the bodyguard panicked. "Pardon?" Seeing the flicker of amusement in matriarch Melissa's eyes and the silence of Lord Vilai, the guard could only grit his teeth and continue, "But if we do that, what if a child from another family manages to claim the precious treasures inside?" Melissa smiled, answering, "That is precisely what I'm hoping for. Even the most gifted saintesses of past generations couldn't take anything from that vault. Who knows? Perhaps if someone does retrieve that item, they might even be able to track down the skeleton demon king and destroy him, right?" Her eyes held a thoughtful glint. "In that case, we should reward them, shouldn't we?" Afterward, Melissa turned and ordered the guard, "Tell them, whoever brings out the most precious item from the vault will be granted a reward that even the Pope could never buy. That person will receive the heirloom of the Joshua family." The guard started breaking into a cold sweat. Beside him, Melissa happily exclaimed the next part, "And I will personally teach them the secret arts of our family." Then, she excitedly clenched her fists. "Whatever child succeeds in retrieving it, I will give them whatever they desire." Legend has it that the Vault of Holy Relics is a place that holds not only relics but also a secret that has existed for thousands of years. Through generations, the saintesses have taken on the duty of guarding the vault, which is why it is said that the Joshua family is the master of this archive. Since only children under 10 are allowed to enter, the vault is often used as a ritual for saintess candidates. Upon turning one, these children enter and choose an item. Everyone tries to predict what kind of power the saintess will receive, based on the item the child brings back. However, the vault is an incredibly dangerous place, and even the candidates often struggle to avoid life-threatening risks when they step inside. After many unfortunate incidents occurred, the vault was sealed. The shadow ghost laughed sinisterly. "Let's see." Then it stared intently at Isaac and said, "If my master can survive and bring back the treasure?" Isaac frowned and babbled irritably, "What's the point of you repeating that?" The ghost hovering over Isaac's head didn't forget to persuade him. "But you're looking forward to it too, aren't you? Aren't you, master?" Isaac's eyes sparkled as he replied, "Of course." I eagerly continued, "They say the corpse of the skeleton demon king is inside that place." Suddenly, a hand reached out and lifted him from the cradle. "Are you excited, young master?" The commander of the Blue Knights smiled at Isaac. "The matriarch has opened the vault for all the candidates." Isaac was secretly shocked. "All of them?" As if answering Isaac's question, he happily tossed him into the air and said, All the children of the 5 prestigious families will be coming. Even though that cursed family of the Pope will be there, I'm certain that no matter what happens, you will be the one to win. Young master, the Phantom can only sigh at this sight. It seems they're really blowing this out of proportion. Even as Isaac was tossed high into the air, his mind was busy calculating. That's fine, too. The more people there are, the more distracted they'll be, making it easier for me to reclaim my body. No sooner had Isaac fallen than he was caught by someone else, and then he heard a familiar, warm voice. You must be careful, Isaac. Violet held Isaac in front of her, cautioning him. The demons captured from the battlefield are being guarded in there. Isaac kept that in mind. There's danger because demons are guarding that place? Then he thought, if they were captured so easily, they must be 6th tier at most. I just need to overpower them, and before Isaac could finish his calculations, Riley poured a bucket of cold water on him. 8th tier demons aren't easy to deal with. As he spoke, he placed Isaac back in the cradle, listening to Riley. After hearing Riley, Isaac was immediately startled. What the hell? Why are there 8th tier demons there? The commander added, even so, that 9th tier dragon is probably the worst part. Riley replied with a smile. If we're only talking about tiers, then yes. After hearing them talk, the Phantom could only weep. This entire family, they must all be out of their minds. A dragon in a place where a bunch of kids are going to show up? Isaac was speechless, and the Phantom tried to console him. But at least you know quite a bit about dragons, right? When he didn't hear a reply from his master, the Phantom turned to look, only to find Isaac trembling and biting his finger, his face covered in sweat. The Phantom was stunned. Huh, what now? Meanwhile, Isaac thought in a panic, we're screwed. The danger level of dragons is in a completely different league. A long while later, the Phantom heard Isaac speak up. Well, I did trick them a few times. The Phantom asked, how many exactly? Thinking about the wrath of the dragons he had deceived, the Phantom thought, that bastard even tricked a hatchling? What kind of garbage did he sell to those kids? Even ancient dragons haven't lived for 300 years and they get scammed, let alone hatchlings. Damn that wretched pile of bones, Isaac stammered. About 70 of them, that's all. Isaac suddenly recalled something unpleasant. Not to mention, they have excellent memories. They'll recognize my soul. The Phantom looked at its master and grinned. Maybe it's time I changed masters. Isaac gritted his teeth in anger. Shut it! I can hear you, you know. Isaac slammed his small, chubby hands down against the cradle, his spirit burning with determination. Looks like I'm out of options. So there are 8th tier demons and a 9th tier dragon in the archives, but right now, I can barely even handle 6th tier demons. To fight back, I have no choice but to raid all the mana cores of the Joshua family. Looking at the Phantom's helpless face, Isaac excitedly said, to the Annex building we go! A new day began, the first rays of light warming the magnificent palace. In some room, little Isaac sat behind the door reading intently. The cloud beside him asked anxiously, Master, are you all right? Getting no reply, it asked again, Master, are you all right? Isaac stared intently at the book in his hand, his face deathly pale as he stammered, yeah. He thought to himself, if I could master holy power, learning these 3 measly spells would be as easy as pie. Why does studying get more and more draining? I'm not even weaned yet. I should just manipulate his mind and make him teach me. The cloud shouted joyfully, Master, you want to use dark magic in front of the priests? Are you planning to bury this house? And then you'll summon some cool demons, right? Isaac crawled on the floor, frowned, and glared at it. What happened to your personality over the last 150 years? The cloud chuckled awkwardly. Isaac, exhausted, put the book down and rubbed his eyes. He thought, I can't wrap my head around all this theory on my own. Little Isaac yawned wearily, and suddenly a hand grabbed him. You look so tired. Riley and the commander of the Blue Knights walked in, and Riley picked him up into his arms, showing concern. I bet you've had a very busy day. Isaac grumbled internally. Yeah, definitely. Kids my age are supposed to sleep 16 hours a day. While Riley was putting Isaac back into the cradle, the commander picked up the book, looking completely bewildered. Riley set Isaac down, then spread his hand out in front of him and muttered, Regenerate. A golden light appeared, enveloping Isaac. Wow, what a great spell. Come on, cast another one, Mr. Uncle, seeing Riley. Riley didn't continue the spell. Instead, he turned to talk to the commander. Isaac hurriedly tried to climb out of the cradle, but seeing that, the cloud immediately stopped him. Please, stay where you are. The cloud continued. You need to get to the annex building as soon as possible. You can't just hide people here, can you? Isaac suddenly remembered. Right, the annex. I have to get rid of these people as fast as possible. Noticing the silence behind him, Riley and the commander turned back quickly to check. Looking at Isaac, Isaac was lying flat in the cradle, and the Cloud thought with contempt, what a terrible actor. Who'd believe that? The commander held the spellbook, smiling. Master Isaac falls asleep so quickly. Riley praised him too. A wonderful child. Everything he does is so swift. Hearing this, the Cloud felt like screaming. Have they all gone crazy? Seeing that Isaac was fast asleep, Riley said, It's getting late. Shall we head out? The commander agreed, Yes, and I have training to attend to anyway. On the side, the Cloud was utterly baffled. Amazing. And that's how they saw them prepare to leave. Isaac lay in his crib, wearing a smug smile, but suddenly he heard them add, However, that relic seems quite dangerous. I think we should take it outside. Isaac panicked immediately. What? Before stepping out the door, Riley looked back and commanded, It's a precious item, the first relic that belongs to Isaac, so make sure it's kept safe. The commander quickly replied, Yes, sir. Hearing this, Isaac thought, I still have to restore it. Who gave you permission to take it? Before they left, Isaac heard them say, We will put it on display. Place it in the most visible spot. He could only wail in his heart, My relic. I haven't even had the chance to drain the mana from it yet. As soon as the door clicked shut, Isaac jumped up. Fine then, I'll just drain the mana core in the annex instead. He quickly used his short body to climb out of the crib. Let's move, the weak Cloud said to Isaac. Are you seriously planning to crawl all the way to the annex? Isaac replied, I have a plan. Open the door for me. The Cloud flew quickly toward the door. Yes, of course, at your command. It muttered as it zipped toward the door. There is no way I'm carrying you there, though. But as it reached the door, the Cloud suddenly froze. Huh? Isaac, who had just fallen out of his crib behind it and landed face up, didn't even have time to feel the pain before he heard the Cloud say, That uncle of yours locked the door. The locking system is on the outside, and he even cast a spell on it. Isaac was so angry he felt like throwing up blood. That detestable uncle, he ordered, break the door down. Thinking about the guards outside, the Cloud cautioned. They'll think you're under attack and swarm in here, you'll see. Isaac cursed, Damn it, and slammed his hand against the door in frustration. I felt annoyed. I'm losing my mind. I can't stand the whispering from here to there. If I use magic, things will only get worse. Suddenly, the door creaked. Isaac stood before it, deep in thought. Just as he was trying to figure out how to sneak out, the door hit him in the face. A young boy of about 5 or 6 pushed the door open and walked in, holding a prosthetic arm wrapped in bandages. Staring at Isaac sprawled on the floor, he exclaimed in surprise, This brat isn't even supposed to be able to walk yet. The boy who had just walked in was the son of the Joshua house, a candidate for the holy office of the Joshua family, 5-year-old Suri Joshua. Isaac frantically reached up to touch his nose. Looking at the boy, Suri, he thought furiously, This guy must be my enemy. Isaac glared at him, thinking, A relic that even a genius like me couldn't create. There is no way this brat could have made it. He spread his hands, and suddenly, a ring of golden light appeared in his palms. Isaac watched the scene before him with excitement. Suri raised his hand, his eyes full of malice. I am the only one worthy of being ordained. Isaac pretended to be innocent and crawled to his feet, out of the corner of his eye. He glanced at him, casting a spell on the toy not far away, muttering, You dare covet what belongs to me? Belongs to me, he continued. This is how I get rid of that, the arrogant. Joshua suddenly let out a shout. The toy had just smashed right into his head. Isaac laughed gleefully. Found a horse to ride! Suri's face turned dark with anger as he asked, Do you have any idea who I am? Since a baby can't speak, Isaac could only answer in his heart. You look exactly like that thug uncle. You must be his son. With that, Isaac snatched the toy, wearing a smug look. I saw you gathering mana to attack me, you bastard. Isaac repeatedly used the toy to strike Suri. Serves you right. The Cloud hovered nearby, cheering. Nice hit, master, Isaac thought as he attacked. You arrogant brat. Get ready to be a horse for your brother to ride. Suri couldn't retaliate and could only take the beating in silence, finally forced to use holy power to defend himself. Do you think you're better than me? Isaac smiled and stroked his chin, feigning surprise. Suri smugly continued, Why are you surprised? At my age, no one else can use third-tier holy defensive spells. He smirked while focusing his holy power. You're being surprised a bit too early? Isaac watched him silently as he channeled his holy power. Third-tier offensive holy power. Holy light. Light. White rings of light appeared in midair. Take this. Isaac gaped in amazement at the holy power before him. That's impressive. Then, he curled his lips into a smile. Thanks for the meal. What happened next left Suri absolutely terrified. He only saw a massive purple ring of light amplifying and surrounding Isaac. Suri stared at the baby in panic. How on earth could he amplify a defensive spell to that level? Watching Isaac play with the spell, Suri thought. How do you know how to use that when I haven't even been taught it yet? Isaac babbled, as if to say, Thanks for the lesson, brother. Suri turned his head in shock. No way. Suri stood stunned, watching Isaac laugh excitedly, pointing at him as the attack spell ricocheted back toward his side. Suri stammered, Wait! Isaac sat and watched smugly. The ghost said, The entire Joshua family must be insane to dump a dragon into a place full of newborns like this. It continued, However, master, at least you have profound knowledge of dragons. Suddenly, Isaac bit his hand in anxiety. The ghost panicked. What's wrong now? At that moment, Isaac thought, damn it. Thinking back, dragons are actually quite dangerous. I've been scamming them for a long time. The ghost asked, How many did you scam? That bastard swindled all the young dragons. Just what the hell did you sell to those kids? They aren't even 300 years old yet. Even many adult dragons were scammed. You bony bastard, what about those 70-something of them? Isaac worried. This is bad. They hold grudges like leeches. They'll recognize my soul. The ghost replied, Isn't this a great opportunity for me to swap places with you, master? Isaac scolded, I heard that. Then Isaac slammed his hand down. There's no other way. Following that, Suri went completely motionless, watching Isaac sitting on the shoulder of a tall, demon-like shadow with blood-red eyes staring right at him. Isaac babbled, What are you doing? He broke into an excited grin. Hey, you pockmarked brat, come give me a ride already. In the end, Suri let Isaac grab his hair tightly, paralyzed with fear as he kept his eyes glued to the movements of the phantom. Even so, he kept a firm grip on Isaac's legs, keeping him from falling. Isaac thought to himself in a panic, I need to focus on getting out of here alive first. Isaac wasn't just resting on Suri's shoulder. He was clawing at Suri's hair until it was a tangled mess, while Suri's entire body wouldn't stop shaking. Helplessly carrying Isaac while trembling with absolute terror, he let out a shaky cry. Someone please help me! Under the pitch-black night sky, illuminated only by the bright moon above, the quiet garden was filled with the faint, incessant babbling of Isaac. With one hand gripping Suri's hair and the other pointing with a toy, his tiny mouth kept barking commands. Left, to the left. Suri, carrying Isaac on his back, took each weary step according to his instructions. Suri stopped, panting with exhaustion. Isaac frowned, annoyed, and snapped, Are you trying to die? Wake up! Suri wearily questioned. In the middle of the night like this, where on earth are you planning to go? Suddenly, Suri stepped back, then looked up at what was in front of him in terror, gasping, This, breaking into a cold sweat, he stammered, trembling. It's the second annex of the Joshua family, the haunted house. While Isaac was lost in thought and the phantom observer was mocking them, Suri panicked, thinking, Why did this lunatic drag me here? So many people have died here that the head of the house has forbidden anyone from entering. Suddenly, both Isaac and the phantom observer became excited. The phantom observer giggled, saying, Looks like there are dozens of them here. It stared at the pillars of light scattered throughout the house and said, You'd have to risk your life training for 15 years just to gather this much mana. Isaac waved the toy in his hand to signal Suri to go inside, whispering, Let's go, kid. Suri understood, shouting in a panic, You want to go inside? No, we can't go in there. The adults said it was forbidden. Before he could finish his sentence, a ghost appeared out of nowhere, hovering right in front of his face and threatening him. Shut up and keep moving, mutt. Inside the building, the moonlight outside glimmered faintly through the window panes. Suri carried Isaac on his back, cautiously taking every step as quietly as possible. Isaac rested his hand on Suri's head, slowly observing the surroundings before commenting, It's even worse inside. Suddenly, his eyes sparkled. He looked at a nearby door and whispered to himself, Huh? Wait a minute. The phantom observer appeared again, saying, The entire building has been sealed, master. Every door here has some kind of barrier protecting it. Hearing this, Isaac slumped listlessly on Suri's head and said, "What a pain." Suri, still terrified, urged him, "Hey, let's just go back. Everything in here is locked up." Isaac suddenly yanked Suri's hair to the left, letting out a grunt. Suri shrieked in pain. "Ow! What's wrong?" He tried to pull Isaac's hand away, yelling, "Let go!" Suri suddenly looked in the direction Isaac was pointing and gasped, "Huh?" Moonlight shining through the window revealed portraits covered in white, dusty cobwebs hanging on the old walls. He looked up at them, then muttered involuntarily, "The previous heads of the family." Suri mocked him. "Are you still aiming for the position of head of the house now?" He smiled confidently and said, "It's useless, though. The next head of the family will be me." Ignoring everything he said, Isaac waved the toy in his hand, his face showing a hidden, dangerous glint. He swung his hand hard, aiming at a portrait on the wall. Watching the glass on the frame shatter into pieces, Suri stared with his mouth wide open in horror. Isaac didn't stop, continuing his assault. He waved the toy, smashing all the remaining frames, while Suri pulled at his own hair, frantically trying to stop him. "Our ancestors! Hey, have you lost your mind? What are you doing to the heads of the family?" Finished, Isaac held the toy in his hand and said with a cool, nonchalant laugh, "That's right. Why would anyone put a barrier on portraits?" The phantom observer appeared again, joyfully announcing, "The barrier has been broken, master." Isaac laughed lightheartedly. "Good." With that, he hopped off Suri's back and said, "Let's go." Suri panicked, rushing to say, "Hey, where do you think you're going?" After landing safely on the ground, Isaac rolled a few times toward another spot, with the phantom observer floating above him, leaving Suri all alone. Suri stood there fuming and shouted, "Hey, are you crazy?" After causing all this chaos, "Where do you think you're going?" Isaac rolled in front of a room and used his strength to burst the door open. Seeing the piles of glittering mana inside, he exclaimed excitedly, "Wonderful!" Suri bolted toward Isaac at full speed, but Isaac gave an order. "Gaba, lock the door." As the door gradually closed, Suri, still on the outside, tried to run even faster, desperately trying to intervene. "Stop! Wait, stop! What are you doing?" Just as the door was about to close, Isaac turned back, smirked with contempt, and said, "A kid like you doesn't need to know." Even as Suri screamed from outside, "Hey, kid! The door is closing!" Isaac sat formally, placing his hands on his lap, and took a deep breath. He gathered his magical energy and whispered to himself, "Let's begin." Outside, Suri used all his strength to pound on the door, shouting threats. "Come out right now! Hurry up! I'm going to tell the adults everything!" He kept pounding on the door and yelling, "I'll tell them the whole story and get you kicked out of here." I didn't notice a figure standing in the distance behind him. Finally, Riley arrived with a group, calling out to Suri. Hearing the familiar voice, Suri froze completely. Suri turned around, stunned. Riley asked, "What are you doing here?" "Seeing him," Suri said joyfully. "Uncle, you came at just the right time." "Isaac, that monster," before he could finish, the elder snapped, "What do you think you're doing, Suri? Regardless of the reason, you know perfectly well that you are not allowed to enter the annex." What were you thinking bringing Isaac here?" Suri stood there, stiff and smiling awkwardly. Then she continued, "How many people do you think saw you carrying Isaac here on your back? Furthermore, there are traces of holy attack magic in Isaac's bedroom. You are the one responsible for all of this. Do you understand?" Faced with those words, Suri stammered nervously in defense, "It's not true. I brought him here, and some of it was my holy attack magic," but Riley placed a hand on his shoulder and said in a low voice, "Suri, this time you've crossed the line. No matter what, you have harassed a child who hasn't even been weaned yet." His face turned serious as he interrogated, "Where have you hidden Isaac?" Suri panicked and blurted out, "I didn't hide him anywhere." The words he uttered left everyone present astonished and bewildered. Isaac went in there by himself. Then Riley stood up abruptly. He stepped toward this room and said, "Isaac, are you in there?" He reached for the door and gasped, "Locked? Oh, for heaven's sake." The door suddenly swung open to reveal his worried face. Isaac was inside the pitch-black room, sobbing uncontrollably, and his heart broke for the boy. "Isaac!" he cried out. Seeing this, the elder asked anxiously, "Are you all right, Isaac?" Goodness, the poor boy looks terrified. In contrast, Suri stood there blankly, an expression of deep suspicion on her face. Riley pulled the sobbing Isaac into his arms and said, "Thank goodness you're safe." The boy seemed frightened, but it didn't look like anything had actually happened to him. Riley cast a sharp, icy glare at Suri. Then he turned to leave, tossing back a final warning. Suri, you should be ashamed of yourself. Tears streamed down Suri's face as she helplessly insisted, No, it's not like that, honestly, it's not. Isaac suddenly whispered something only Suri could hear. Thanks for the meal. He smiled brightly, a look of pure malice in his eyes. Because of you, I had quite the feast. Suri was absolutely livid, screaming in frustration, You little brat! The elder looked confused and blurted out a question at Suri. The attendants nearby stared at Isaac, whispering, Why does the kid look like he's about to burst into flames? Isn't it supposed to be freezing in here? One of them sighed. Poor kid, he must be traumatized. He touched the mana hidden in his pocket and smirked to himself. I got even more than I expected. In just one go, I absorbed enough mana to equal 100 years of grueling practice. He gripped it tightly and thought, with this much mana, he smiled a wicked, silent grin to himself. To be continued. Yahello noticed his strange behavior and thought, it seems Isaac was truly terrified. At a majestic castle, someone turned to Isaac and said, Isaac, I'd like to introduce you to someone. Isaac glanced up with a bored expression. Joshua Riley introduced Isaac's new assistant. This is Ashley. From now on, she will be your assistant. Ashley bowed respectfully. She placed her hand over her heart and introduced herself. My name is Ashley, a holy knight of the Joshua family. She knelt on one knee, bowing her head to show her loyalty and respect. She said, I shall serve you until my final breath. Isaac didn't care at all and just glanced at her, though he thought to himself, Are they sending someone to keep an eye on me because of what happened last time? He then put on a look of disgust, propping himself up with one hand while pointing at Ashley with the other. Hey, you! Isaac continued to act out and shout, Forget it! Get out of my sight! Ashley blinked, looking at Isaac in confusion. She stepped closer, leaned down, and blushed, her hands trembling as she reached out. May I pinch your cheeks just once? Isaac looked bewildered at the blushing girl in front of him, thinking, Why are there so many crazy people in this house? Joshua Riley smiled and took something out from his robes towards Isaac, saying, Isaac. He pulled out a small box containing a ring and held it out. This is a gift from your uncle. Isaac looked at the plain-looking ring and his face darkened. Did you pick that up out of the trash? I thought I misheard him, but the ghost beside me also looked at the ring with disdain, saying, Is the Joshua family truly in such a crisis? Can he really call this a worthy gift? For the master's first birthday? Ashley gasped as soon as she saw the ring. Isaac stared at the ring in shock, unable to believe it. Oh my God. Isn't this the saintess's heirloom? Joshua Riley stood beside him and gently patted his head, smiling. The saintess's heirloom. Your uncle got this from the council just for you. Isaac's eyes widened in amazement as he thought, Wait, it's the real deal. The image of the saintess appeared, wearing a glowing ring. This was the ring she used in the battle against him. An ancient ring. It holds a fragment of holy power. As the ring glowed, he held the shimmering object to examine it. The holy power packed inside is incredible. Isaac stared at the ring, smirking deviously to himself. It looks like it might break after a use or two, but I can fix that. He suddenly looked up at someone else. Over there, Gogo Joshua stood leaning against a tree, his eyes burning with jealousy. Isaac looked in his direction. He's staring right at us, he thought, that sour, envious look on his face. He's glaring at his own little nephew as if he wants to get rid of me. That look confirms this really is the genuine item. Gogo Joshua walked toward the group, while Isaac watched him, puzzled. My dear little nephew, he approached with a fake, cheery smile on his face. Oh, how adorable you are, Gogo. I feigned interest while you and the ghost looked on, confused by his acting. I hope you feel comfortable here. Isaac felt disgusted. What the hell? So cringy. He looked at the man's overly friendly expression and thought, maybe he's actually insane. Damn it, things are getting so complicated. Isaac looked at the ring and thought, I sabotaged the blessing device in the treasury so it wouldn't be able to receive a blessing, but I never expected they'd provide a treasure, like the saintess's heirloom as a replacement. Flashback. The elder handed the ring to Joshua Riley and said, Since Isaac didn't receive the blessing, we have to give him this. Gogo Joshua saw the ring and panicked. The saintess's heirloom? Gogo Joshua shouted at the elder. Give that to my son instead. The elder asked, Give it to Suri? She sighed and waved him off. He already received the holy blessing from the cathedral, didn't he? Don't be so greedy. Go away now. Go-Go Joshua gritted his teeth, consumed by hatred as he thought of his previous plan. I was going to pretend to donate to the cathedral while I stole it instead. I can't possibly understand the true value of that heirloom. He said, if you were going to pick a gift, you should have chosen something better. That thing is so useless. Joshua Riley heard him and immediately retorted, useless? How can you speak about the Saintess's item that way? Finally, Go-Go smiled wickedly, holding a box in his hand. Isaac is your precious nephew too. How could you give him such a useless piece of junk? He pulled out a ring that sparkled even more than the Saintess's, tempting them. This ring has received many blessings directly from the cathedral. He rambled on about how powerful the ring was, while Joshua Riley stood to the side, looking at him with confusion. In the Holy Treasury, this item would certainly be more useful. It's an incredibly precious artifact. Riley could never hope to get his hands on this. He sat down near Isaac, thrusting that sparkly ring toward him, and kept trying to sweet-talk him. Doesn't this look good? As he reached out to grab the saint's ring, Isaac immediately punched him right in the face. Now hand over that old, filthy ring or get lost. Isaac took the ring box and cursed, doesn't this piece of trash reek of the Pope? Then Isaac tossed the ring away. Get lost along with it. The ring was flung straight into the lake. Seeing the ring get thrown, Joshua shouted, what do you think you're doing? Go fetch that ring now. Joshua Riley watched Isaac, thinking to himself, that ring is worth 1,000 times more than the thing I gave that brat. He looked at Joshua Riley, who was holding his hand out with the ring still in his palm, and grinned. So you still chose my offering, huh? Joshua Riley reached out toward him and said, Isaac, my beloved nephew. He raised his arms to the sky in excitement and joy, laughing. From now on, I will give you only the best. Ashley, standing nearby, she mimicked him by raising her arms to the sky, happily cheering, Hooray for young Master Isaac. As for the underlings, they had to struggle, diving underwater to search for the ring that had just been tossed away. It's too deep, young master. Gowrel finally stood there with a dark expression, ordering his men to find it at any cost. Risk your lives if you have to. Isaac crossed his arms, amused. I cast a weight spell on it. They'll never find it. The ghost beside him also chimed in with flattery, as expected of my master. Your determination to never touch that stinking item of theirs is truly admirable. Isaac commanded the ghost, go pick it up tomorrow morning. The ghost asked in surprise, me? Isaac retorted arrogantly, do you think it should be me? Isaac recalled the scene with Gowrel. Joshua had been yelling while clutching his head, so the item must be very valuable. He told the ghost, that thing is worth a fortune. I'm going to sell it. Gowrel, meanwhile, slammed his hand onto the table. That little bastard! He collapsed onto the table, clenching his fists and fuming. He has no idea what that thing is worth. Then, he sat on his chair in frustration and muttered, whatever. Besides, he doesn't even know how to use an ancient ring. Gowrel kept rambling to console himself. That thing can only be used by someone who can use holy arts. You need to absorb the holy power of at least 20 people to use it. That's impossible. He sneered. I wonder if even 10 people will show up to his birthday party. The next day, the same luxurious mansion was bustling and crowded with people, both adults and children. Seeing the scene before her, Ashley exclaimed happily, this is amazing! There were over 148 saint candidates, and including nobles and servants, about 4,000 people were present today. Holding Isaac in her arms, she spoke happily to Joshua Riley. All of the duchies have arrived, along with a dozen marquis families. Even other nations have sent their own saint candidates. Isn't it amazing? Even the emperor is here. Isaac thought with a dark expression, why are there so many saint candidates? Are those lazy gods just dragging them around everywhere? The ghost beside him added a few jabs. They're exactly the type to do that, aren't they? Joshua Riley had a serious, contemplative look on his face as he said, I didn't account for this. I thought no one would come because they'd think it was a trap. Someone pushed the door open and said, of course they wouldn't think it's a trap, my friend. Simon walked happily toward where they were standing and said, long time no see, Riley. I was the head of one of the 3 major merchant guilds in the Empire and Riley the Count's closest friend. He looked at the person in front of him in surprise and asked, Simon, you came too? Simon laughed heartily and replied, the rumors have spread throughout the entire empire. Simon added cheerfully, of course I had to come. Both Riley and Ashley furrowed their brows when Simon said, Everyone knows this isn't a trap, so they decided to attend. Besides, all of Joshua's weak sons are here anyway. He kept on rambling. Not to mention what the head of the Joshua family has wagered. How could I not come? Even the Pope's family will surely show up. Hearing Simon, Isaac thought to himself, she wagered what? Riley didn't believe what Simon had just said was true. Don't talk nonsense. There is no way the Pope's family would attend. He just shrugged indifferently and replied, just a guess. There's no way those unfriendly royals would show up in the Joshua family's territory. They hate this place because there are too many commoners from the Barisa family. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared in front of the door to the room where everyone was talking. Simon, keep your voice down. Why should I? My daughter, Rimmon, is a saint candidate too. After all, this event is hosted by the Gowral family. The Pope's family has no reason to get involved in this. That mysterious shadow gripped the doorknob. You must be careful with your words. As Simon was speaking, the door opened and someone stepped in. Everyone looked toward the door in a panic. Don't pay attention to that bunch. They always look like they've just stepped in dog shit. Or, as they say, nothing is as dangerous as a vulgar friend. Here a Barry opened the door and appeared. Indeed, the wisdom of the ancients never fails. Both Riley and Simon were terrified of Cardinal Barry. Barry appeared with a sinister face, slowly walking toward everyone, saying, just think about it. The weak man of the Joshua family is actually holding an event like this. I hope your child will be able to bring out something from your treasury of relics to save face for this family. He smiled sinisterly and said, I'm curious to see what that kid of yours, how on earth does he dare claim to be a candidate for sainthood? Asili, hearing him say that, clutched Isaac to her chest in alarm. They hadn't even met yet. She muttered under her breath, well, I suppose this could be an opportunity for you at least. Barry placed a hand over his heart, but his blank expression and the gloomy atmosphere around him contradicted his words. I pray with all my heart, he droned, for the saint candidate to bring glory to your family. Riley broke into a cold sweat, thinking to herself, this is all a scam orchestrated by the Holy See. The number of people in black cloaks kept growing. The number of saint candidates had jumped from 25 to 148 in just a week. It had already been suspicious before. The only explanation was that the Holy See was turning a blind eye to candidates appearing out of thin air. Blood splattered all around. Everyone wanted their child to be a saint candidate. Once those children were dragged into the relic vault, there was no turning back. It was an attempt to weed out the weakest competitors. Vilai clenched his fists. They might even hurt the kid in all this chaos. He looked back to where Ashley was standing, holding Isaac. If that happens, Ashley and the child looked at Uncle Vilai, confused. She worried Isaac would be in danger, a boy of the Joshua family. A stone statue of a child held in a woman's arms stood there. Aside from the family's reputation and prestige, it was completely useless. However, to those wanting to usurp the noble glory of the Joshua house, to those craving the favor of the Pope's family, to those who loathed the saint's lineage, that Joshua child was nothing more than the perfect prey. A mysterious figure in a cloak stood before the child. So, let's mess with this Joshua kid a little. The child took the vial the mysterious person offered. It won't kill him, but it'll make him completely helpless. Mix this poison into his water. Use the holy venom. Empty glass vials lay scattered on the floor. Teach the little brat just how cruel this world can be. The small children turned pale with terror, all staring at the same thing. Turn him into a laughingstock in front of everyone. A child sat on the floor, guzzling down drink after drink. The pile of empty glass bottles grew, signaling to the world that the Joshua kid could never be a saint. After drinking so much, Isaac happily wiped his mouth and grinned. So tasty. The other children just stood there, terrified. Everyone. I'm scared. How many bottles has he drunk already? Isaac threw an empty bottle at a kid's head, shouting for more. Bring more! This poison can't kill me! Isaac sat on the floor, struggling and demanding, give me more! The child who'd just been hit in the head was wailing, I want to go home, it's too scary. Two people whispered nearby, what's wrong with that kid? I thought you poisoned it. It was in the vial. Did I grab the wrong one? The crowd started whispering, oh, this is strange, I don't think that's right, let's just go. Suri, hearing the chatter, could only hold her forehead and curse silently. Isaac, seriously, why do you keep drinking the bottles that are drugged? Joshua Suri cursed inwardly, burning with embarrassment. This is humiliating. Stop tarnishing the Joshua name. Someone stepped toward Isaac, who was still happily drinking. Joshua Suri, frustrated, approached and snatched the bottle away. She stopped Isaac from drinking more and scolded, "Stop drinking! Are you that thirsty?" She offered Isaac a different bottle. "Here, drink this one instead." Before she could finish, Isaac hurled the bottle straight at her face and shouted, "That one isn't poisoned! Someone take that bottle away!" Isaac grabbed the hem of her clothes, struggling and yelling, "Give it back! Give me the super poison!" The man was helpless against Isaac's stubbornness. Why is he so hyperactive? The man tried to explain that he shouldn't drink it, but it was holy venom. The woman next to him also tried to stop him. "Are you crazy? If you drink that, you'll die!" Isaac shouted. "Holy venom?" He suddenly lunged for the bottle with a crazed look in his eyes. "Give it here! You have to give it to me!" One side was fighting over the bottle, while the other side stood around gossiping about the holy venom. "It seems he has extraordinary poison resistance. I heard that. A person can reach a level where they naturally neutralize toxins while training their holy power." What? Are you saying he's already reached that level? But why is he only targeting the poisoned bottles? Could it be that he wants to make sure no one else drinks them because they're dangerous? Suri, listening to the gossip from a corner, could only smile wearily. Nonsense. Suddenly, a voice made Suri look up. "Really?" Kina Berry appeared out of nowhere, sparkling. "Are you saying he's sacrificing himself?" Suri jumped up in alarm, staring at Kina in surprise. "Kina Berry? Why is he here?" "I didn't hear anything about the Pope's family being involved." Kina Berry, a direct descendant of the Pope's family. The other children were just as shocked and confused to see Kina appear in this place. Wait, isn't that Kina Berry? Why would the Pope's family be at the Saint's relic vault? Isaac had won the tug-of-war for the bottle and was brazenly sitting on someone's back, drinking. "Oh, I guess we know who the winner is." "Oh ho," Kina thought, looking at Isaac. So this is the brat who was supposedly guaranteed to become the saint? But can that pure hair color really exist in the Berry family? Kina thought about the hair colors of the Joshua clan. Everyone else in that family had hair the color of dung. Kina smiled sinisterly. "It's the Pope's family's business to appear at the saint's relic vault. What's so strange about that?" Kina continued, his words leaving the person next to him stunned. "The Pope's family is the leader of all clergy. Therefore, the Saint's relic vault also belongs to us." As soon as he said that, everyone around them looked surprised. This made Kina even happier, and he laughed out loud. "I'm simply here to collect what's mine. Why do you find that so strange?" Isaac, still drinking, looked at Kina with contempt. Judging by that arrogant tone, he really is from the Pope's family. A brilliant light radiated from around Kina, but that kid was a bona fide monster. His raw holy power alone surpasses that of a bishop. The #1 candidate for saint, really? Jack, deep in thought, froze when he heard Kina speak. Using that kind of procedure to humiliate the host? And you call yourselves saint candidates? Kina kept rambling with a sneer. How pathetic. What's the fun in harassing a little kid? Kina walked toward Isaac as he spoke. A baby couldn't possibly have toxin resistance. He knelt on one knee, looked at Isaac, and muttered, "It must be protected by the Saintess's power." Kina, Isaac cursed inwardly. His family must have inherited stupidity. Kina put on a fake smile, conjured 2 small flames in his hands, and aimed them at Isaac, poor thing. "It's okay. Let me detoxify you." The crowd around them started whispering as they saw Kina using magic. Is he already able to use holy detox spells? Just look at the size of his holy power, at least level 5. Only Ajax looked at Kina with bored confusion, thinking, "Oh, this kid is trying to pull a stunt." Watching Kina perform his magic, Isaac cursed internally, "Trying to use me to show off your skills? You're pretty clever. I'll give you that." Despite the smile on his face, Isaac's hand shot out and smacked Kina across the face. Kina's head whipped to the side, and then a young boy suddenly pointed and shouted, "The holy power is gone." Kina's eyes widened in shock. Kina quickly released Isaac, dropping him, unable to believe what just happened. My holy power was neutralized? No way. By a brat like him? Kina stared at his own palm in terror, thinking, is he stronger than me? The boy glared at Ajax, radiating killing intent, his fists clenched tight as he cursed, "A pest from Joshua." Isaac put on a mocking, provocative face and said, "What are you looking at, kid? I'm gonna smash your head with this bottle! As Isaac threatened Kina, someone rushed over to hug him and hold him back. No, don't do it. He's looking after him because they're family. Ugh, he slapped the person trying to save him? How disrespectful. Kina looked at Isaac in confusion. Do they really think they have a chance against the papal family? Does he really think he can protect him? Isaac was held tight by Suri, his face twisted in clear anger, but he could only curse under his breath, unable to do anything about these idiots. If it weren't for me, you'd have had a bottle to the head. Kina brushed it off, trying to save face. It's fine, I must have surprised him. He's still just a baby after all. Kina turned and waved as he walked away. See you all later. Good luck, you Joshua brats. You should at least try to scrape some mud together to save your family's honor. Isaac gritted his teeth in fury as he watched Kina leave, unable to do anything while Suri held him in his arms. Suddenly, Kina stopped, turned around and looked right at Isaac. He provoked him. But of course, the best treasure here will be mine. Are the family members really so scared that they won't even approach the skeleton demon king's remains? Everyone stared at Kina, hearing such words coming from a young boy's mouth. Suri heard Kina and sighed. What a stubborn brat, causing a scene for no reason. Suri was caught off guard when Isaac grabbed him by the collar, ready to fight. What the hell is wrong with you? Suri and Isaac struggled back and forth. The patriarch promised to bestow a secret technique to whoever brings back the skeleton demon king's remains. Suri screamed in horror. Melissa, are you playing with my body? Isaac froze in shock. Suddenly, Isaac slumped to the floor, trembling. He thought back in horror at the skeleton wrapped in red cloth and tied with a bow, just like a gift. Isaac sat there, playing with the bottles among the group of kids. He looked up at the sky with deep boredom, remembering the form of the skeleton king. Isaac thought, I've already accumulated enough mana, equal to centuries inside this body. If I can master it, reaching level 10 won't be a problem. His eyes glowed intensely as he glared at the children around him. But now these brats are watching everywhere. There's no way to sneak it out. Crushing the bottle, Isaac tossed it aside. Whatever. Anyone who gets in my way, I'll just trample over them. Suddenly, a voice grabbed his attention. Everyone gathered around. It was the elder announcing that they were about to leave. So listen carefully, he began. This relic vault is a sacred place. It houses holy relics of saints from the past. Isaac groaned inwardly. He's starting with the history lesson again. At this rate, when are we ever going to leave? He turned his head and crawled in another direction. This is so boring. Suri suddenly noticed and asked, Hey, you? Watching Isaac head off, the boy whispered to himself, Where are you going? Suddenly, a powerful explosion occurred, making Suri cover his face and scream. He panicked and shouted, Elder, Isaac is... Meanwhile, Isaac was bolting forward at terrifying speed, joyfully thinking, It's time to use the holy magic I just learned. The elder screamed in panic, Isaac, no, that's a restricted area. He continued, making the children around him tremble. If you go that way, all the traps in the vault will be triggered. Everyone scrambled toward Isaac, shouting, Stop that bastard! At the Joshua family banquet hall, Ashley spoke anxiously to July. I hope the young master is okay. Everyone around the banquet hall announced, We have established a connection inside the relic vault. They continued to report through the magic orb. The spirit beasts are following the third-ranked candidate, so we will provide information. The first door of the vault has opened, and the candidates are currently entering. Rayleigh pondered anxiously. They've already entered? A notification sounded. The current third-place candidate is Peter. Ed Simon screamed, My son! The announcement continued. In second place is Suri. Joshua Gowell scratched his head in surprise. I mean, that's my son. The announcer continued, but hesitated slightly, struggling to believe the first-place position is Isaac Joshua. Everyone there was shocked, murmuring in unison, leaving Jelai and Asili stunned. Isaac, while he was charging forward, cheers erupted. It's Isaac! Elder Joshua, panting and out of breath, chased after him, begging, Isaac, please! Not that way! No, he suddenly stepped on a trap, and then the elder got hit by a lightning bolt, yet he still insisted, if you go that way, more traps will be triggered. Suri jumped in shock and exclaimed, Oh my God, I'm sorry! Constant cries for help rang out, and a terrified Suri scolded him, You lunatic! Why would you just charge in there and cause all this chaos? Despite his fear, the kid didn't forget to keep running. screaming complaints mixed with his cries. The archive's trials were already life-threatening enough. Suri reached out toward Isaac as if to hold him back, saying, "Now we have to dodge these two traps set for intruders." Isaac slowly approached the door, excitedly saying, "So this is the door to the second archive." A notification about the second trap appeared. "The second trap has activated. We're heading into the secondary archive's entrance." The kid panicked and tried to stop him. "Isaac, don't go in there!" The ghost giggled as if to praise him. "Truly extraordinary, Master. Thanks to the mana you absorbed in the annex, I've leveled up." Isaac said eagerly, "Good. Now I can put you to work even harder." It complained helplessly. "Damn it!" He gave an immediate order. "Now go catch all of them." The ghost quickly obeyed and flew off. "Understood, Master." It zipped toward the children resting nearby and heard them say, "I didn't think it would be this hard." While one kid sighed, another nearby looked in one direction and wondered, "Is this why saints are so strong?" He pointed at Suri floating in midair and asked, "Isn't that the Anyway kid?" Another kid replied, "Yeah, that's him." They asked each other indignantly, "How is he able to fly?" His family must have taught him beforehand. That's so unfair. Meanwhile, Suri thought helplessly, "No, you idiots, they didn't teach me anything." It turned out the ghost was the one grabbing the boy, even though he thought he was just floating uncontrollably. It brought Suri back and dropped him on the ground, reporting, "Master, I've caught the messenger." After being thrown and landing face first, the boy warned him, "Stop this madness right now. I don't know how you passed the first trial of the Heaven's Choice archive, but from the second archive onwards, a single mistake could kill you." Suri kept nagging, "You have to face your fears and choose the difficult path to grow stronger." Isaac felt annoyed and gave him a smack, thinking, "You're doing just fine." He ordered the still-pained Suri, "Forget it. Explain what's in the second archive." Suri, still lying flat on the floor, turned his head and said, "Once you enter the archive, you absolutely must not attack the enemy. You hear me? Don't attack them." Isaac looked confused and baffled. "What nonsense are you spouting? Why shouldn't I attack the enemy?" The kid continued to panic and warned, "That's the only way to pass the second archive. Whatever appears, you just have to stand still for 3 minutes until they disappear." Suri said in a begging tone, "Tell me you understand, otherwise, we're both going to die." Isaac glanced at him, thinking, "How vacuous are you testing my patience?" The terrified kid scrambled up and said, "People have actually died because of this." He walked up to the gate and said, "All right, sounds easy enough." Isaac put his hand on the gate, chuckling as he glanced over. "Just don't attack, that's it. 3 minutes is no problem at all." A flow of magic appeared around his hand. Then the door began to open, and a notification sounded. "Welcome to the level of composure. Patience is a virtue and cold logic. Stay calm and hold your ground, unwavering." A stream of light appeared before Isaac. "Your patience will lead you to the light." A bold footstep echoed in the vast space. It was Kina and his entourage moving forward. One kid asked fearfully, "Are you sure you're okay with this? We're at the very end, you know." Kina smirked calculatedly and said, "There's no reason for me to take the dangerous path ahead. Cannon fodder can do that for me." He continued to explain to them. "And did you forget that there's an 8th-tier demon at the entrance to the second archive? Those who go first will surely get stuck there." Kina pointed forward, acting as if he knew everything. "See?" An incredibly bright light shone out, making the inquisitive sidekick squint, and Kina continued sinisterly, "The trial has begun." Ahead, the door was slowly opening, and a gentle voice, as if reminding him, annoyed Isaac, "Do not be distracted." A face as beautiful as a statue gradually appeared. It turned out to be a very handsome god, gently announcing, "Your patience will lead you to the light," he continued. "And if you do not," before he could finish. Isaac furiously unleashed an attack to obliterate him. "Damn it, what the hell is this?" Suri was terrified to see him attack, remembering his previous commitment, and thought, 3 minutes wasn't supposed to be a problem. "Good heavens," Suri cried out to the sky. "You're actually insane, Isaac." He clenched his fist and asked back, "How can I be patient when I've already seen the face of a god?" The ghost added, "I think 3 seconds was long enough." The notification for the second door rang out. "You have failed." It continued to speak as a wooden hand emerged. "For those who cannot endure a wooden monster stepped out, let divine punishment fall upon you," Suri stammered, looking up in fear. Meanwhile, Isaac was ready, focusing his power. He unleashed a devastating move as if to tear the monster apart. Suri was left speechless yet again. The source of power in the monster's gut had been annihilated by Isaac. Finally, Suri saw the whole picture, and it left the kid absolutely stunned, thinking, what the hell was that? The wooden monster had been reduced to a pile of splinters by Isaac. Isaac mused to himself, is this what an 8th-level entity is? Are you kidding me? I was so furious he couldn't control his facial expressions. This golem was created by my subordinate's magic. Isaac recalled his former minion, thinking, one of the 14 familiars of the Skeleton Demon King's elite demon race. This is their signature type of magic. The wooden debris gradually faded away as he pondered, have they been working like dogs for the Rotquark family? Or could this place be connected to my own physical body? Deep in thought, he stepped forward. I have to see for myself. Suri asked in sudden astonishment, hey, where are you going? Suddenly, a loud, smug voice rang out, making both of them glance over as he pushed aside some nearby branches. I didn't expect those brats from the Joshua family to actually lend me a hand. The red-haired boy looked like a know-it-all, pointing at Isaac and Suri. See? I told you the Rotquark house knew how to clear the trial. So, the boy was a cardinal of the faith, one of the 5 creeds, the 3rd son of the Duke Sepet Ninja Sepet family. The kid eagerly ordered, thanks for taking down the gatekeeper for us. Now move aside. We're going into the 2nd storage room first. The kids around him kept tattling, you have no idea how much we suffered because of that little brat. That's right. If you go in first, you'll trigger the traps. Isaac calmly thought to himself, so many of them are still alive? Sepet pointed at Suri and said, I didn't expect the kids of Joshua to do something so wicked. To the shock of Suri and Isaac, the kid continued to accuse Suri. You're working with him, aren't you? The boy panicked and denied it, even as everyone ignored him. No, we aren't. Hey, I said we aren't. Are you even listening? Ignoring Suri, Sepet continued. This kid dodged all the traps, right? You actually think he could do that on his own? He spotted the ring on Isaac's neck and boldly asserted, see? It's an artifact. He immediately snatched the ring. This ring must contain something. He smugly announced to the kids around him, everyone look here with this. We'll avoid every trap ahead. Suri muttered helplessly. He's got it completely wrong. The boy kept watching Isaac and worriedly thought, he's just sitting there, it makes me nervous. He's not the type to let others take his stuff. Sepet turned around and arrogantly declared, get behind me, you Rotquark house brat. You, he said excitedly, will bring back the Skeleton Demon King's remains, something no one has ever done before. That'll be me and no one else, the 3rd son of the Cardinal Duke's family. No sooner had he finished his sentence than Sepet stepped on a trigger. A light suddenly flashed. It shone on the boy's joyful face, leaving him puzzled. An explosion went off right where he stood, making Sepet scream in pain. The kids around him yelled, it's a trap! What is this? Suri suddenly realized the truth about Isaac. Looking at Isaac's satisfied expression, the boy speculated he used them as bait. Dust and smoke billowed in the storage room. Suri was carrying Isaac past the injured kids lying on the ground, heading toward the 2nd storage room. Isaac smiled contentedly to himself. All the mines here have been cleared. He suddenly stopped, but Isaac wondered internally, grabbing Suri's hair. Why are those kids following me? The black-haired boy guessed admiringly, that kid must have some kind of divine sense. Another kid chimed in, maybe it's because he comes from the Saintus' family. They continued to persuade each other. He's been acting weird this whole time. That ring probably is just an antique. Another claim followed, that's right, the Rotquark family would never do something so reckless. The ghost laughed happily and announced, it seems they've realized the greatness of my lord. How wonderful. Isaac gritted his teeth and replied, I don't want their recognition. Suri weakly advised in his mind, run away before it's too late, you guys. This kid is scarier than any demon race. Suddenly, a voice offered praise, which made Isaac curious. If there truly is a saint, I think it would be someone like you. The blond boy looked friendly as he introduced himself. Pleased to meet you, Joshua's youngest. I am Paris Julius, the 2nd prince of the Julius kingdom. The kids nearby whispered to each other, but it didn't escape the ears of Isaac. That's the kingdom located to the east of the Hellen Holy Empire. I've heard the prince there received a blessing from the gods. He secretly plotted, oh, this guy might be useful. Suri's hesitant voice broke through, catching Isaac's attention. Isaac, the boy announced, we're here. Suri looked up at this door and said, this is the door to the 3rd storage room. 2 circles emitted a dazzling light. welcoming the candidates. An angel with wings emerged, continuing, "This is the floor of memories," the gatekeeping angel solemnly declared. "Show your determination and courage." The kids around cheered in delight, despite Suri's anxiety. "All right, we can move on to the next storage room. It's a good thing we followed him instead of Sepet. We're going to get the skeleton demon king's remains." The gatekeeper continued, "The trial is simple. Defeat us and seize the glory." The kids kept guessing. They said show courage, so we have to fight them, right? Let's give it a try. Isaac stared straight at the gatekeeper, pondering, that gatekeeper, could it be? I immediately had a plan. Oh, right. Isaac wore a sinister grin, thinking to himself, this is going to be entertaining. He waved his hand toward the group of kids. Meanwhile, they didn't understand and asked Isaac. Suri seemed to realize something. Isaac's decisions are always right. The gatekeepers are lying. The boy recalled and analyzed the storage space. First, about the choice, Isaac had just sprinted past it. Suri kept reminiscing. The second storage space was about composure. Isaac wasn't calm at all. One, returning to the present, the boy guessed to himself. And the third was about memories. It was a hint that we had to remember what happened in the first two trials, after some deliberation. Suri concluded, we can't attack them. Isaac kept waving his hand toward the babbling children. All of you, back off. The kids asked back, on that side? Suri wondered inwardly. Huh? How strange. He chose the right answer this time. The boy suddenly speculated, no matter how wicked he is, he's still a descendant of the Saintess. Could it be that the Saintess's kind nature has surfaced? While confirming this, Suri gripped Isaac's leg tightly. That's right. Maybe I've misunderstood Isaac all this time. Just as the boy was thinking well of Isaac, he launched a strike at the gatekeeper. He would sacrifice himself to guide everyone to the right path. Isaac laughed delightedly, ignoring Suri's stunned expression. The gatekeeper growled in a low voice. You, he gripped his weapon, have chosen wrong. He slashed straight at the children, terrifying them. The kids screamed loudly, help! They continued to wail, help, Mommy! Suri couldn't believe it, thinking, what is this? The boy glanced at Isaac in fear. Could it be? Isaac wore a joyful smile, matching Suri's horror. You lunatic, Isaac thought excitedly. It's been a while since I've seen these guys. The gatekeepers revealed their terrifying appearance. To believe others so easily is truly naive, saint candidates, Isaac narrated. They are deceptive puppets created by the magic of the 14 spirits. He excitedly commanded them, while Suri grew increasingly panicked to the point of despair. Show those brats just how cruel life can be. A massive explosion occurred, and flames erupted. One child shielded their face with their hand and asked urgently, where did they go? The other boy burst into tears. They were just here. The two of them were invisible, standing by and watching. The boy shouted, go! Find them now! At this moment, Isaac was sitting on Suri Joshua's shoulders, feeling triumphant, while he stood below, stunned and frozen. Paris. Julius stood behind them watching. All three were invisible, using the 6th level holy art, invisibility. I thought, he gave me this spell to use in an emergency. This is truly the perfect time to use it. Suri Joshua was speechless, while Paris Julius behind them realized everything. He stepped forward to offer thanks. Thank you for casting the holy art on me as well. He patted Suri's head, speaking in a childish tone as if to say, don't worry about it, and tossed the ring into his hand. Julius spoke in a baby voice, seemingly meaning, take this. He wondered, what is this? Julius held up his finger. A ring? He said to Isaac, moved. You gave me this because I'm not used to fighting demons? But he only scratched his ear, looking confused. He held the ring, saying sincerely, thank you so much, I won't forget this kindness. As he held the ring, a red circle suddenly surrounded it. As he said, I will relay this to my father. Before he could finish the sentence, he suddenly screamed. The phantom of the observer stood behind, applauding triumphantly. Isaac laughed heartily, seemingly wanting to say, the most powerful holy power belongs to the prince. Suri Joshua looked up at him anxiously. Sir, what kind of monster have you brought into our family? The voices of the kids rang out, gather round. Is there anyone who can use protective holy power? The children were casting magic. The older boy said, I'll use the protective holy power first. The other one should stand behind me. The gatekeepers struck powerfully to warn them. Accept your punishment. The boy signaled with his hand. This is it. The other child focused his power to strike. Get ready for this! The boy launched his move, but before he could cast the protective holy power, he slipped and fell flat on the ground. His friend standing in front was stunned. Then he turned to ask him, "Hey, what's going on?" The magic ring flew toward the back. The boy saw it and hurriedly asked, "What is happening?" At that moment, he was controlled by the ring's magic and forced to his knees on the ground. The gatekeeper was confused, not knowing what had happened. He jumped up to scan the surroundings. Did someone else believe our lies? The Phantom of the Observer reported to Isaac in this way. "The ring has absorbed all the children's holy power." He pointed to his left, seemingly ordering it to follow. "Go that way now." It immediately obeyed. "As you wish." "Hey, what's wrong?" "Don't feel anxious, little kid." The Phantom of the Observer flew in that direction. After seeing his friend fall, the child asked, "Hey, what's wrong?" The gatekeeper thought, "Don't feel anxious, little kid." He thought further, the liar puppet attacking the enemy has been neutralized. Fainting after being drained of all holy power is better than being wounded. The Phantom of the Observer drained all the boy's holy power and reported to Isaac, "Master, it's almost done." A glowing red-yellow light appeared. It questioned, "What is that?" A figure appeared, causing it to be thrown back in fear. A voice spoke up, surprising them all. "Found you." It was Keena Barry. He had come there to find Isaac Joshua. At this moment, Isaac looked at him with disgust, thinking to himself, I was wondering where he had disappeared to. He finally showed up. Suri below was filled with fear. "Oh my God, I know he's a genius, but this is?" He sprouted a pair of wings. Those were eagle wings, and everyone marveled. To be able to summon a Holy Spirit at that age, that's incredibly powerful. You turn to Isaac and say, "You really caught me by surprise, Isaac. I didn't think anyone here could defeat a demon race creature besides me. You recall your Holy Spirit and continue, or did you just set another trap for the other kids, like you did in the first trial?" You were about to keep going, but the other children interrupted. Not only did one boy explain how he tried to clear the trial for them, but the child standing next to him chimed in as well. "I even pointed out which direction we should go," Trung emphasized. "He's our savior." Isaac just replied, meaning, "Those kids are out of their minds." The observer standing nearby asked, "Is this what people call blind devotion?" Keena Barry turned around, looking resentful, and started questioning the savior. "Ha! Aren't you ashamed to call yourselves holy candidate? To think you actually needed a kid like that to help you?" The two kids immediately fired back. "Hey you were hiding in the back the entire time. While we were out there finding traps, you didn't do a single thing." Others joined in to criticize Keena Barry. "He's right. Isaac acts more like a saint than you do." The voices wouldn't stop, listing all the ways you avoided trouble. They added, "As soon as we get out of here, we're telling your parents everything." You look around, feeling deeply uncomfortable. The criticism kept coming. "You did nothing. Everything was thanks to Isaac. We'll tell our parents that sticking with your family was the right choice after all." Isaac, up above, was smiling smugly. Meanwhile, Suri thought to himself, "You kids have no idea this little monster is just using all of you." One of the boys said that without him, they would have been in big trouble. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook violently. Everyone turned back in shock to see a giant sphere rolling toward them. The vibration was intense. As everyone moved toward the door, someone asked, "Is this the entrance to the third archive?" Another replied, "I think so." "Does that mean the second trial is officially over?" They all agreed, "Seems like it." Suddenly, the sphere spoke. "Congratulations, candidates, for passing the second trial. I am the final guardian protecting this archive." It continued, "Now, make your choice." The group began to murmur amongst themselves while Keena Barry just stood there in silence. The sphere went on. "You can either take your treasure and end the trial here, or you can face another trial to proceed to the third archive." One kid immediately made his choice. Obviously, we're choosing the second option. The sphere warned them, "Choose wisely. You will either pick your treasure and end the trial here, or face the trial to reach the third archive." It laid out the terms. If you pass the trial, you will find the treasure of the third archive. But if you don't, its words sent a chill through the room. "You will die." The observer whispered to Isaac, "Master, based on the mana I sense from that voice." You sank into your seat, muttering, "Yeah, that's a dragon." You didn't laugh, thinking, if that's the case, what he said about dying is probably real. One kid spoke up, "I still want to take the trial." We've been through too much to stop now. Others immediately agreed, that's right. If we can get the treasure from the third archive, we'll become saints. They all started saying they wanted to keep going. Me too. I want to get into the third archive, the sphere. Hearing this said, so you wish to face the trial despite the danger? Very well. Everyone looked stunned. Then face the trial, the sphere boomed. All of you who have gathered to become saints. Then the sphere exploded, leaving everyone in shock. It left only one final sentence. Then face the trial. Everyone looked annoyed. Only Isaac was brimming with excitement. The sphere's voice echoed, the final trial is quite simple. Everyone saw a holy statue standing before them. The voice commanded, praise your God. People were confused. What? Another statue? They asked, is this the statue of our God? The voice continued, show your reverence to your God. Only those who have proven their faith may reach the third treasure. One kid asked, so we just have to kneel before the statue and pray? Is that it? Someone else disagreed, but this is a trial. I feel like that's too simple. Isaac looked disgusted and didn't want to say a word. He gritted his teeth in anger. No way. I'm not kneeling before this bastard. Not for someone who's been harassing me for 5 years and tried to scam me at the very end. A boy scratched his head and stepped forward. I mean, it's nothing too difficult. I'm just going to pray to our God, that's all. That's all we have to do, right? The boy knelt on one knee. I offer my prayers to our Supreme Lord, the one worthy of all glory and honor. He spoke with deep respect. Your humble servant offers his worship. The sphere praised him. You have learned well. You passed. The boy cheered, yes. Everyone watching said to each other, wait, all we have to do is pray? Suddenly, Isaac hopped off Suri, catching him off guard. You told Isaac, you should pray. Then you kicked Suri angrily saying, why the hell would I do that? Suri groaned in pain, clutching his leg as he rolled on the ground. Isaac looked up, furious. Kinaberry stood there, hands behind his back, saying, we've learned how to pray at the Holy See. Watch and learn. Kinaberry knelt, raising both hands, his face glowing with fake piety. This is the correct posture you must take when worshiping our God. Everyone watching immediately wanted to follow suit. I want to do that too, me too. Everyone started chanting. We offer our prayers to our supreme God. One kid stood there frozen, and the sphere immediately called him out. What are you waiting for? Are you going to give up and accept your death? The boy quickly denied it. No, I'll do it. Others followed suit and started the ritual. Me too. Suddenly, the orb spotted the child. Why aren't you kneeling? Isaac sat there, looking annoyed. I'm not crazy. Why would I do that? Everyone turned to look, puzzled. What's wrong with him? Does he have a problem with the faith? Is the rumor true that the Joshua family has lost their devotion? Hearing this, Isaac scratched his head, thinking, you monsters, stop tarnishing our family's reputation. It's just a simple prayer. Kinaberry shot a smug glance his way, thinking, everything is being recorded. Does that kid really want to blow his chance to become a saint? No matter how much talent he has, without faith, it's all useless. Isaac pursed his lips in disdain, following Kinaberry's train of thought. I shouldn't have even paid attention to him in the first place. The orb chimed in. This behavior is truly disrespectful. A child of the Holy Family! Isaac shouted back, raising his hand in anger. So what? Damn it, the boy muttered firmly. I'd rather die than kneel before that stupid thing. The statue stayed silent. Go ahead and kill me if you dare. Suddenly, he lost control of his own body. The statue used magic to force him to his knees, then sneered, perish. The boy cursed, get lost. Isaac, seething with anger, channeled his holy power. I'm going to smash that statue. The observer intervened. Master, this is too dangerous. The boy, white-knuckled with rage, screamed, die! Suddenly, the statue spoke again. Excellent. The boy's grip loosened, and he stood there, confused. The orb continued. You have passed, little one. Proceed to the third archive. Kinaberry gasped. Wait, what? He pointed at Isaac, who was still sitting there fuming. You said we had to show faith to pass. That brat didn't pray at all and he passed? That makes no sense, the orb replied, leaving Isaac baffled. Only that child is worthy to pass through this gate. Only he truly demonstrated faith in God. It turned back to the others, asking, do you really not understand? It explained, you knelt before the statue, not before God himself. The statue's explanation left everyone stunned. Is your faith really just kneeling before an idol? an image or symbol of God used as an object of worship. Suri looked on, uneasy and deep in thought. Even if it's a statue of our God, it's still an idol. The crowd realized we've been tricked. They whispered to each other. But that's absurd. That statue looks just like our God in the holy paintings. Someone else chimed in, I mean, the scriptures do say not to worship idols. The voice continued, explaining, look at that child. Even faced with death, he did not yield and kept his conviction. That is why only that child is worthy to enter the third archive. The observer ghost hovered in the background, smirking. Conviction, huh? Isaac stood up and snapped at him. Shut up. Kinabaret wouldn't have it. I cannot accept this. He stepped forward and argued, the kid can't even talk. There's no way to prove he didn't kneel because of faith. The observer whispered from behind. I mean, he's got a point. You wouldn't want that, would you? The boy agreed. Kinabaret pressed on. Besides, if that brat has such conviction, his question left Isaac speechless. Why doesn't the kid possess a holy mark? Hearing this, someone else asked, wait, what? I doesn't have one? I certainly do. How can a candidate for sainthood not have a holy mark? He shot a hidden smirk his way, thinking, the kid is the only one among the candidates without a mark. Give it up, brat. You're not worthy of being a saint if you don't even have that. The voice echoed, asking, a saint candidate without a holy mark? That is because he is still just a child. The answer left him with no rebuttal. The statue shifted its stance, shocking everyone. Kinabaret cried out, how does that make any sense? Wait, you could move the whole time? It replied, I mean it. It's because he is still just a child. Kinabaret pushed his luck, demanding, then let me in too. If someone without a mark can enter, then I certainly can, because I have one. Another person piped up to join in. He's right. I have a holy mark too, which proves we are the candidates. It replied, you lot need to realize you don't have those because you're special. It asked the group, do you all think the same? Everyone answered yes. It continued, so you all want to enter the third archive? Everyone replied, that's right. It pondered for a moment before saying, then there is no other way. I will let you all in. Everyone was stunned. He replied, yeah, now we can finally enter the third archive. Suri thought, stunned. Is it really letting us in that easily? It added, I mean, if you want to fly into the fire like moths, then be my guest. Everyone stood there, bewildered, as the statue began to fade. Fine, I will let you in. The door opened, and a darkness spilled out like poison. Everyone gasped, struggling to breathe. The voice continued, can you feel it? That is the dark mana radiating from the body of the skeleton demon king. Know your place, you fools. I was going to spare those who couldn't withstand the dark mana. Everyone, gasping for air, collapsed to their knees, coughing. It was unbearable. At that moment, Isaac laughed, full of glee. Yes, he's saved now. My body, the skeleton king's body, my body is lying right there. He reached up to wipe away his drool, his eyes gradually losing all trace of humanity. With a look of ravenous hunger, he muttered, oh my, look at all that dark mana pouring out. Isaac grinned maniacally. The other children sensed it too, but they had the opposite reaction. Staring at him in awe, they exclaimed together, look at the child who has proven his faith. That is the face of a courageous warrior. But they soon noticed something wrong and their eyes widened in terror. Wait, his eyes, they've lost focus. What kind of baby is like that? The golden energy crystal ball spoke again. It is not too late. The god's voice rang out, overwhelming the children with its power. Those who cannot laugh in the face of death may turn back and leave. The voice echoed again, offering a choice. If you give up here, I will allow you to choose one treasure from the second vault. Suri looked at the dark energy in fear, hesitating. Damn it, how are we supposed to get past that mana? That dark stuff? The other children were no different. They huddled on the ground, trembling and weeping. Let's not go in. Go in. We could actually die. I think I should just choose the best item from the second vault. A calm, steady step moved forward as someone boldly declared, no, I don't need anything from the second vault. Only Kinabaret stood tall, facing it head-on. We are all heading to the third vault. He demanded arrogantly, please, activate every single trap in the third vault. The two cowardly children heard this and grew even more terrified, cursing under their breath. That madman! The crystal ball seemed a bit excited. "Oh, are you serious?" Kinaberry spread his arms to explain. No saint in history has ever been able to retrieve the Skeleton King's remains, not even the legendary Saintess Melissa, the crystal ball, then praised him. "It seems you know something about the third vault, don't you?" He felt very confident in his own deduction. There is no way Saintess Melissa would have left children to die. "I am certain there are safety precautions in place." Kinaberry raised his hand, asserting, "I don't want to hear about us receiving a treasure without facing any obstacles." With eyes full of confidence and determination, he declared loudly, "Therefore, please, restore the third vault to its original dangerous state, so that I may receive a higher evaluation than even the Saintess herself." Isaac sat there, propping his chin, watching and judging. This kid has lost his mind, too. The crystal ball agreed to Kinaberry's request and replied, "If that is what you say, then so be it." It continued, and its body radiated a powerful golden light along with a surge of black energy, forcing the children to get on guard. This will certainly help determine more clearly who will be the saint. A crying child pushed Kinaberry away, screaming, "You go in yourself!" But unexpectedly, the black energy enveloped everyone, lifting them into the air. No one could opt out. "Why are you dragging us into this?" They kicked and struggled, but were easily hoisted up. Everyone was teleported to another room, where the children, still in shock, collapsed and gasped for air. In contrast, Isaac looked around with excitement. Oh, what a chaos!" the ghost observed, noticing something, and pointed in a panic to report, "Look over there, Master." It pointed to the distance where a dark hand was on display. Seeing the skeletal arm radiating dark aura, it was overjoyed, as if it had found a treasure, and exclaimed, "It's my master's body!" Isaac gleefully clenched his hands, his mouth curling into a terrifying grin that stretched to his ears as he praised, "Well done, my child, I mean my body." It had absorbed the energy from the third vault. The children were terrified by the black energy surrounding it and gasped in shock. "Is that the Skeleton King's remains?" Just a single hand, yet it radiates so much dark mana. Isaac laughed slyly, silently refuting their words in his mind, staring at it hungrily. "That's not even the whole hand, it's just the thumb. Is that all that's left? The rest is a fake." The hand on the pedestal was made entirely of stone. Only one finger was the real Demon King's, yet even that one finger created such a massive, terrifying source of magical power that it overwhelmed everything. Suddenly, a ferocious beast appeared out of nowhere, leaping into the air and letting out a roar that shook the earth. Two of the children were so terrified they grabbed their heads, their eyes rolling back. The terrifying energy was overwhelming everything. Suddenly, a ferocious bull came leaping out of nowhere, letting out a roar that shook the very heavens. The two children, paralyzed with fear, clutched their heads, their eyes rolling back in terror. They screamed, "Ah, it's the demon tribe! I thought they wouldn't appear after the second challenge." Usually, that would be the case, but Kinaberry had just boldly demanded, "You requested for all safety measures to be removed." Isaac looked at the beast, a sense of familiarity returning. Wait, that is... The beast landed with a heavy thud and cursed angrily, "You vermin!" Its arms spread wide, its muscular frame tensing with rage. "How dare you try to claim my body?" A child pointed a trembling finger at Kinaberry. "This is all your fault. How are you going to take responsibility for this?" But he remained incredibly confident, waving his hand nonchalantly as he turned to walk forward. "Trust me, I will ensure that all of you leave here with a treasure." With a confident face and a triumphant smile, he calculated in his head. 14 elite subordinates of the Skeleton King, trained and just a bunch of idiots captured by the Pope's family. Because he had a high-grade item, Kinaberry stood confidently facing the ferocious beast. "I have prepared a holy spell to counter that thing. The treasure is mine." His eyes radiated a terrifying aura, like an eagle hunting its prey. The power in his gaze was like that of a majestic, righteous god, threatening the demon tribe and making the beast waver. Isaac sat there picking his ear, not caring in the least. Conversely, the children's eyes widened in amazement as they exclaimed, "That's the light of the Pope's family!" This immense power made Kinaberry gasp in surprise. "Good, it's working." I was ecstatic and about to make his next move. "Now I'll take it." But before he could get too cocky, a voice rang out, making Kinaberry turn pale with fear. "Is that you, demon?" It had no effect. On the contrary, it became even more ferocious and angry. Looking at him with hateful eyes, it roared in defiance, ready to fight those who dared to claim the king's body. At this moment, outside, at a large gate, at the entrance to the artifact vault, the representatives stood by, anxious about what was happening inside. What was going on? Communication had been cut off, so a young man rushed over, clutching a paper and blurting out the news. "We've got a major problem. The seal on the demon clan in the third vault has been broken." Hearing this, the two brothers, the family members, were shocked and startled. Simon Ed panicked, covering his mouth as he asked, but he received no answer. "Vailai, that's one of the 14 divine beasts, isn't it?" I was still stunned and confused, trying to figure out how this could have happened. If it was one of the 14 divine beasts, everyone inside the vault would be in danger. The representatives were all desperately looking for a way to handle the situation. Then what about the elders who were sent in to supervise? To think those kids would end up in this situation? The two elders outside hesitated as they explained that they had tried to disable the traps in the vault, only to disappear. Doesn't that mean the kids' lives are in danger? Unease kept washing over them. How could those kids possibly deal with that kind of monster? "We have to call off the trial and get them out." Suddenly, the gate behind them began to glow brilliantly. The members standing there were bewildered, raising their hands to shield their eyes from the light. "Cover your eyes, this is—" Joshua Riley opened his eyes in surprise, wondering if the artifact vault was opening. The beam of light grew larger and larger, overpowering everything outside, making everyone gasp at the sight. "What is this intensity?" They watched anxiously and warned each other, "Please step back from the entrance. It's dangerous. Dark mana could spill out." "No, wait," someone said, pointing at the glowing gate. "I don't feel the presence of any demon clan." The elder wondered in confusion. Had it been defeated? Hirabari smiled deviously, feeling proud inside, thinking, "You did it, Kina." Rumors began to swirl. Was that the demon clan that protected the skeleton demon king's remains? I is one of the kids who defeated that thing. Simon Ed realized something and called out to Vailai in fear. "Could it be him?" He bit his lip, his face darkening. The whispers continued, insisting that it had to be Kina. "Barret, is it?" As expected of someone from the Pope's family. Everyone gathered around Hirabari, smiling and saying, "Congratulations, Cardinal, a result befitting the strongest saint candidate." He looked smugly toward the gate, thinking Kina had done a great job. Then, his eyes flickered with a cold, sharp glare as the Cardinal turned to look. Joshua Riley smiled savagely in his mind, feeling disdainful and arrogant. "Joshua, this is the end of your family's foolish opposition to the authority of the church. Now that we have the Demon King's remains, you will have to bow before us." His smile didn't fade. Instead, he plotted his next move. "It's time to put an end to your aristocratic act." A loud voice rang out, causing Riley and Hira to stare, their emotions clashing. "Look, the kids are coming out!" Joshua Riley's anxiety was clear on his face as he bit his lip and prayed silently. Ajax Suri watched the small silhouettes slowly emerging from the gate. "Please, be safe." The representatives stood before the gate, waiting in a state of turmoil. The children emerged safe and sound, crying and hugging their loved ones. Seeing this, Joshua Riley felt relieved. A few were injured, but only lightly. Thank goodness. But the person he was waiting for most hadn't appeared yet. Riley stepped toward the gate in anxiety. The children who had entered the third vault hadn't all returned yet. His worries were evident, his face filled with anticipation. Did they run into some kind of accident? A voice rang out, causing them to jump and focus their attention. The rest of the kids were finally arriving. The children walked out with gaunt faces, all of them exhausted, looking like old men as they struggled to take each step. Their families cheered in joy upon recognizing their children. Peter Suri, the fathers, ran to their children, both relieved and worried, calling out, "Peter, are you okay?" Suri, the two of them. They reunited and hugged tightly, calling out Suri and father. He asked anxiously and tenderly, "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" Riley's face was cold as ice, filled with extreme anxiety. He couldn't be sure. Everyone else had reunited, but his nephew hadn't appeared yet. Riley was full of unease. "Ajax, didn't you come with them?" The Cardinal also reunited, calling out to his son, Kina, watching the boy tremble. The words he spoke weren't tender inquiries, but demands for results and achievements. "What is that in your hand?" Hirabari continued to ask. "Where are the remains of the skeleton demon king?" Kina, Nervous because he hadn't achieved the results his father wanted, stammered, He lashed out angrily. Who told you to bring back such a useless object? Above them, a light appeared in the middle of the air. A gate gradually opened, emitting an intense light that made everyone look up. Someone quickly noticed and pointed. Look, in midair. A wolf with golden, silky fur appeared, looking very sacred, with a baby clamped in its jaws. A wolf. Everyone looked up in astonishment, realizing something. Wait a second. They looked closer and saw the wolf carrying a newborn baby who was smiling cunningly. They all shouted in unison, "That's Isaac!" The golden wolf slowly descended. Joshua, Riley, and Ashley rushed over, overjoyed, to check on him. "Isaac! Young Master Isaac!" She immediately recognized him and said to him, "Young Master Riley, that wolf is the holy dragon guardian protecting the relic vault. I never expected the golden wolf to have such a noble status." Hearing these words, Isaac clapped his hands in praise of this insight. The wolf radiated holy energy with an overwhelming aura. It was a holy dragon. She agreed, "That's right. It's the young dragon protecting the treasure. Even though its form is a wolf, the aura it radiates is clearly that of a holy dragon." Joshua Riley looked up in amazement. "It's the dragon of the clan master, the one with a deep connection to the dragon species that was summoned into the relic vault. Its very existence is noble." He leaned toward his nephew and heard something strange, wondering, what is that sound? Isaac was happy, his hands behind his head, sucking on the Demon King's thumb. Everyone noticed and screamed in terror, "Elder, what Isaac is sucking on." They looked again to confirm, but it seemed to be true. Could it be? Is that really the corpse of the skeleton Demon King? The elder frantically scratched her head, unable to believe it, and said, "You can't put that in your mouth." Meanwhile, the other elder clasped his hands in joy. The boy actually did it. The boy brought back the remains of the skeleton Demon King. A voice rang out, making the white-haired boy shiver in fear. Kina, the cardinal, was interrogating his son with chilling eyes. "Did you give the skeleton Demon King's corpse to that brat?" Kina was too terrified to speak, only stammering. The man glared sharply, his hawk-like eyes threatening the boy. "I wouldn't call that a very smart tactical move, Hira." Barry chimed in from behind with a mocking tone, but that was the saint's compassion, saving the host's reputation. Hearing this, the elders immediately rebuked him. "What the hell are you babbling about? It was this kid who took the skeleton Demon King's body." Just then, Isaac was still fooling around, striking a pose with a creepy smile. Hira tried to argue, "You guys are so stupid." His son looked confused. "Remember what?" His eyes seemed haunted by something, refusing to accept the truth. Why did my supreme magic get broken so easily by the demon tribe? Why didn't my holy arts have any effect? Back then, he was furious, his crimson eyes glaring as if he wanted to tear Kina apart. "You insects." A terrifying aura of bloodlust caused all the children to collapse in defeat. "Die!" He lunged forward, cursing, "Go to hell!" At that moment, the other children tried to run, but only Kina stood there, watching him charge. A massive explosion sent dust flying everywhere. As he opened his eyes, he was still confused. I saw a shield protecting the children just in the nick of time, leaving the barrier caster puzzled. Was the blue light coming from that baby, with all that energy pouring out? Isaac was furious. Watching them struggle to protect the kids, they realized it was the child from the Joshua family. The demon roared even louder, insulting them. "You filthy priests! How dare you be greedy for the great skeleton Demon King's corpse?" He finished speaking. He lunged to attack Isaac again with another punch. "Die!" The boy didn't hold back either. Energy gathered in his hands as he shouted angrily, "You idiot!" A blue explosion of smoke rose up, accompanied by a child's scolding voice. "Don't you recognize your own master? Get back!" In reality, everyone present stared at this rare truth in awe, but their minds were filled with confusion. The dragon wouldn't lie, would it? Does this mean the baby from the Joshua family really brought it here? What did Kina do? Joshua Riley stepped forward, but the dragon is too dangerous. He gestured with an incredulous look. "The 14 spirit beasts are not monsters that ordinary children can handle. Why did you release their seals?" The holy dragon replied in confusion. 14 spirit beasts? What are you implying?" Suddenly, accusations rang out towards Kina. "It was you, that white-haired brat, who asked to release them." The children present testified. Still trembling, one added, "That's right. Kina ordered the dragon to trigger all the traps in Vault number 3. I even forced us to follow him and put us in danger." Angry glares shifted toward Hira and his son. Does this mean our children almost died because of that kid? How could someone from the Pope's family do such a thing? If Isaac hadn't defeated the demon tribe, things could have ended in a total disaster. Criticism kept pouring onto the cardinal, and as they turned their admiration toward the baby, he became even more enraged. By the way, does this mean Joshua's son defeated the cardinal's son? Praises were chirped out, and all attention shifted to Joshua Riley. Isn't that amazing? Even if the boy can't become a saint, he's incredibly powerful. So the rumors about the Joshua family making a comeback are true. The uncle thought to himself with great pride, Isaac, you really did a great job. The elders tried to tempt Isaac with sweet words. Kid, spit out the bone. It's dangerous. Can't you show a little mercy? But to their surprise, he flatly waved them off, leaving them stunned. Why is this kid so strong? Sitting on the back of the holy dragon, he leaned back complacently, thinking to himself, My magic power is overflowing now. I wonder if surviving allowed me to absorb it all instantly. Are they not doing that anymore? The elder approached from afar and replied happily, Isaac did a great job. The clan head will surely be very happy when she hears this. Joshua Riley replied vaguely, For sure. A calculating smile crept across her face. Her face was full of schemes to use this power to eradicate the Demon King. We can finally track the skeleton Demon King. We can find his soul. Isaac heard their ice-cold tracking talk and pouted in resentment. He thought deeply, remembering his grandmother, and suddenly realized, wait, so is this why they wanted my body? The elders approached Isaac with greedy desire, reaching out their hands to grab him. They spoke in dark tones. Give it to us, Isaac. Please, track down the skeleton Demon King and rip him apart. It terrified him. What the hell? The elder eagerly held out his hands to welcome him like a living gold mine. We'll finally be able to settle our grudge that's lasted 155 years. Hand it over, now! Just then, the Dragon Saint suddenly dropped to his knees. Isaac had swallowed the Demon King's finger, leaving the elders in a panic, their eyes practically popping out of their sockets. He even pointed at his mouth, mocking them, leaving them too terrified to speak. Then, he and the wolf soared into the sky, thinking, what a bunch of lunatics, leaving behind the miserable wails echoing below. Inside the grand, opulent palace, the sound of constant chatter filled the air. An elder asked anxiously, Have you found it yet? The female elder replied, I don't think it's here. The other elders lamented in despair one by one. Why hasn't it appeared? Isaac sat to the side, grinding his teeth as he thought, Keep looking all day, see if you ever find it. He glanced to the side, thinking, Still, the incident at the relic vault bothers me more. Images of Isaac launching a powerful attack, creating a massive collision, flickered in his mind. Do you not even recognize your own master? He kept unleashing attacks on the demon tribe, causing one to realize, this mana, could it be you, master? Isaac was surprised to hear the demon's question as it continued to pledge its loyalty. When I heard the news that you had passed, I thought my world had collapsed. But I always knew you would return to us, master. The Demon King's words were fragmented as it began to fade away. I need to serve you, master. Isaac reached out as if to hold it back, but he was grabbed by a spear. He cursed in anger. Damn it! Speak clearly before you die! I still have so much to ask you. Back in reality, Isaac curiously speculated, are those who grabbed me from the Pope's clan? A hand offered a bottle of milk while he was deep in thought, leaving him bewildered. I need to investigate this. Turns out, Riley was yelling loudly, making the ghost laugh gleefully. Isaac, go take a dump already! He continued ordering the servant to bring even stronger laxatives while the ghost kept laughing in his face. Isaac was furious. This damn house soon. I'll turn everything upside down. An elder nervously bit his nails and said, if the matriarch finds out, she might slaughter us all. She could literally rip the boy's guts out. Quavi tried to reassure him. Calm down, elder, it will be fine. Unable to stay calm, he continued biting his nails and trembling. Even though she once dissected one of her own sons after all, the boy is her own grandson. Isaac thought, disbelieving her own son. The ghost said helplessly, didn't Melissa go on a pilgrimage here with the matriarch? Isaac replied calmly, right. It will take a while for them to finish. I just need to absorb all the mana before Melissa returns and then I'll make a run for it. Gowel suddenly opened the door, much to Isaac's satisfaction. He stepped forward to make an announcement, making Riley wonder, Riley, come here. Gowel continued, the matriarch is calling for you. Isaac looked over in shock. What? Violet asked back in fear. Mother is back already? She has never returned this early from a pilgrimage. He clenched his fists in fear. Damn it, are they back early because of me? Isaac placed a hand on his chest where the mana was stored. Worried, I haven't absorbed all the mana yet, this is bad. He came back to his senses and judged, with Melissa's personality, she'll surely rip my guts out as a greeting. Gasps of wonder echoed constantly. Oh my God! As everyone was blinded by the piles of gold and silver. The treasures were amazing. Are all these things gifts for Isaac? Riley breathed a sigh of relief. I thought the matriarch herself had come. Gowl chuckled and asked, Are you scared? He continued jokingly, She hasn't arrived yet. She just sent a voice message saying she would be back along with the clan head. I never said she had arrived. Isaac snapped angrily, You damn jerk. The Blue Knight commander respectfully presented, Oh, the Pope has also sent gifts. One elder crossed his arms and said calmly, making the other elder laugh, Sell it all. The commander broke into a sweat, nervously reminding them, The Pope's envoys will hear you, my lord. They are waiting right over there.